Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of PragerU is Garbage. We're gonna watch more life studies videos because these life studies videos are quite something. So let's start with the strange death of comedy, dude.
3 white men walk into a bar. You're a racist. Is that a joke? In today's hypersensitive world, it's hard to know what's funny anymore.
It's hard to know what's funny in a hypersensitive world. Man, it's almost like if you say a joke that sounds racist, people are gonna think you're racist. Now, you might say, but Theo, there are jokes that can be funny that are edgy and this and that. That's fine, but at the same time, you kind of have to understand that when you say that, you might be called a racist for it. I know the world's unfair, man.
And as someone who makes his living as a comedian, that's a big problem.
So according to me as a comedian, never heard of him. Whoops.
Ask Jerry Seinfeld. He's announced he won't play college campuses. He doesn't want to deal with all the political correctness. And he's not exactly edgy.
I don't necessarily think that he stopped doing college campuses because of political correctness. It was just that the audience was just kind of booing and not really listening to his humor or his jokes. So that's probably why he doesn't want to do that, because he'd done other avenues of stand-up, and he was able to get through a set. And people were just, having a good time and relaxing. Goes to a college campus, and people were like booing and being kind of disrespectful, so of course he doesn't want to do college campuses. Now, that's up to him. I really don't think that it's necessarily political correctness was the enemy here. I think it was just that when he did a set, that people were kind of being rude about it. They didn't wait until after the show where they were like, "Oh, well, I didn't like the stand-up. It wasn't really that funny. Whatever." That's one thing. It was just that when he went to college campuses, people were kind of being rude. But whatever. People are gonna use Jerry Seinfeld to the end of time about why PC is bad, dude.
Comedy is important. Why? Because it's a pressure valve that allows us to discuss uncomfortable truths in a friendly way. Laughs are better than punches. But identity politics is killing the gag. How many times have you heard someone say something like this? "You're not black, so you don't know what it's like to be me."
Well, in a lot of ways, that is true. I mean, if you just look at what's going on in the world, you might kind of understand that there might be a little difference of people's livelihoods in some cases. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone lives a different life. I mean, I could also say, well, you're not me, so you don't know how it's like to be me. It's kind of that same mentality. Like, think of it like this. You're a comedian, right? And you're talking about how hard it is to be a comedian. Now, if I say, well, it can't be that hard, you say, well, you know how hard it is to be a comedian. It's kind of hypocritical to make a video called "The Strange Death of Comedy," talk about how hard it is to be a comedian, but then devalue people who say you don't know how it's like to be me. Whoops. I guess that's just the PragerU way.
You're a man, so you can't have an opinion about any issues affecting women.
Yeah, men. Okay, let's take a look at this before I get into a tizzy and say something that is not really accurate. It says, you're a man, you can't have any opinions about any issues affecting women. Does abortions affect men? I mean, it does affect fathers, people who want to have a kid, but at the same time, I think abortion should be legal, but it should also be between the parties involved. And I also think that there should be at least a limit, like, oh, you can get an abortion up until this point in the pregnancy. After this point, you can't get it, which is fine. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But birth control, that kind of stuff, men don't really have a good grasp on that because that doesn't affect us directly. We don't have to pay for birth control. We're not paying for that. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and think about, oh man, I'm not pregnant. And we don't have to worry about the cost of pregnancies. You don't have to worry about all of this stuff. A lot of these women issues are kind of hard for men to really sympathize or empathize with because we don't really experience it. Now, this is another discussion and a debate, but the point of the matter that I'm trying to get at is that when women say this, they're not saying this because you have a dick, you can't talk. It's just that, if you're going up to a woman saying, well, I think birth control should be illegal and should be harder to get and this and that, the woman might say, well, look, it's not gonna be easy for me if I can't really have access to birth control because I may not want to have a kid from this or from that, whatever, whatever. It's a whole slew of discussions. I mean, that's why we should be kind of valuing the discussion instead of saying oh well, this is just sexist, dude. But it's there's a reason why women say this. There's a reason why this kind of goes around when we usually talk about women rights and women kind of stuff because they kind of do have more experience with that kind of stuff than men. That's why I think we should kind of listen to both sides of the aisle here. Now, if this was under the guise of, men cannot participate in the conversation, I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky subject, but at the same time, I'm just saying, the examples he's using don't really line up.
As a left-handed pansexual leprechaun, only I really know about elevator safety.
Of course, says all this stuff that can be applied in the real world, then goes on to devalue all that with this dumb fucking example. I wonder why I never heard of him. I mean, these jokes are not really landing.
Comedy only works when we agree on certain realities. Take this joke. Why do you always go fishing with at least 2 Baptists? Because if you only take one, he'll drink all your beer. The reason this gets a laugh is because most of us recognize that many religious people are a little more religious around other religious people. That hypocrisy is funny because everyone can relate to it on some level.
I kind of don't relate to that. Whatever.
We're all a little hypocritical now and then. The problem...
Well, of course we are. We all are. We're humans. We're people. People are naturally hypocritical. It's kind of like how PragerU kind of operates.
The problem is that today, fewer and fewer people seem to agree on the basics. Shared assumptions. I recently did a joke on stage. People keep comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. He's nothing like Hitler. Hitler would have never let CNN talk like that. Anderson Cooper.
But look at Trump now. He wants to revoke people's passes if they don't respect him. If they don't treat him nicely, they will get revoked press passes. So, oh, whoops. And in a way, Trump kind of succeeds by just labeling news outlets fake news, and people kind of buy it. And that's why, there's a discussion of the death of journalism, because when you start spreading doubt within media and journalists and journalism and all these other publications, who are you supposed to believe, who are you supposed to listen to? And this leads to other dangerous issues that goes on. Now, I'm not going to say that, CNN is a good boy, CNN is amazing, we should all watch CNN. I'm not saying that either, but if we're going to accept that CNN's fake news, and then we're going to listen to Trump on what is fake news, then that might lead us to other sources of news that might not be honest. Trump follows Fox News. I don't really think Fox News is that accurate or honest with their reporting. So why should I listen to that? But again, he brings up this comparison, I go on this joke and say that, Trump is nothing like Adolf Hitler. Well, the thing is that the comparison with Adolf Hitler and Trump, I think, is a little more nuanced than just saying, see, Adolf did concentration camps and Trump didn't, so you see, that symbolism doesn't really work. But at the same time, it's not, if you're talking to a person that is a little more, less sensationalized and less, crazy, they can make probably more adept comparisons of what they both did. They both came in when the nation's morale, or when people were wanting to have their nation bloom. Look at how Hitler came to power. He came in right after World War I. Germany was decimated, and the Germans were kind of this is unfair. We want Germany to rise again. And Hitler kind of rid on that kind of uh, energy, and then he took power, and then it kind of went on from there. Now, I'm not going to necessarily say that Trump's going to go through the full Hitler path, but there's some similarities with kind of how they both kind of came to be, and also, Trump kind of wants to devalue some of the publications out there. But it's not a one-to-one comparison. I wouldn't say it's one-to-one. But there are some comparisons in there. You can kind of make comparison and contrast with a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that they're one-to-one.
Wouldn't have made it through the night of the long knives. There are people that don't understand that joke. And the reason is that joke requires us all to agree, and stick with me here, that Hitler was a bad, bad man.
Now, of course, he sets this up, so you have to agree with him. You have to agree with this guy who's thinking that Hitler was a bad, bad man. Okay.
And that the night of long knives was a bad, bad thing. And that President Trump, whether you like him or not, isn't anything like that bad, bad man who did that bad, bad thing.
Of course. Of course. No one's saying, or at least not people who, or at least people who aren't very sensationalized, would probably say that Trump might not be exactly like Hitler, but there are some comparisons with them. There are some comparisons there, but they're not one-to-one. They're not a carbon copy. Like this when people say like, oh well, they compared to Adolf Hitler, they keep going off the assumption that people are saying that they're both carbon copies of each other. That's not necessarily the case. The comparisons I've seen when people compare them is stuff that's a little more nuanced and stuff that goes on with how they both acted as leaders of the country. Not that, oh well, see, Hitler killed all these people, Trump killed all these people. Well, Trump never really did that. But he is doing some similar things, but it's not exactly the same. But of course, we have to go this black and white kind of assumptions that, well, if you agree that Hitler's a bad, bad person, well, then you can't agree, then you have to agree that Trump isn't that bad of a person because he's not a monster. Well, no shit. Ugh.
And I wouldn't want him to be.
I don't think anyone wants a dictator. But of course this was made before this whole thing with the revoking of press passes kind of happened. But I wonder what he would say now. Now that Trump is kind of introducing the idea of revoking press passes. What would be his how am I blanking on this? Press passes. What would be his opinion on that? Who knows?
But since we now live in a world where some stupid people like Hitler and some other stupid people think Trump is Hitler, well, we just can't agree that this obviously absurd joke is funny. Stupid people like Hitler and some other stupid people think Trump is Hitler.
Well, what do you think that says when these Nazi sympathizers are siding with Trump? What does that say? I mean, I'm not gonna blame Trump for that. I mean, it's not like Trump's actually finding these people, but it does say something when these people align themselves with a candidate. I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, we just can't agree that this obviously absurd joke is funny. We can't even agree that it's obviously absurd. How about this? Why did the chicken cross the road? Why is the rooster being paid more for crossing the same road? Is that absurd enough for you? During the run-up to the release of the movie Black Panther, all the marketing push was about how, finally, there was a black movie made by black people, with black people for black people. I found this to be fairly hilarious, so I simply took any statement about the film and responded as a white person that actually had that insane way of viewing the world. I just saw the trailer for Black Panther. Ugh, no white people. Looks terrible. Hard pass.
Now, the thing that's kind of important to the context. Now, I got into my own little Twitter arguments about this, and it is what it is. But everyone keeps bringing up Blade, or I think it was Blade, saying, "Oh, well, see, Blade had a black main character and focus on him, etc., etc. But the thing that I kind of feel the reason why Black Panther got the publicity that it did for that is because Black Panther was gonna be more popular to begin with. The MCU is now the most like what's the word I'm thinking of, like monetized, popular thing on the planet. I mean, everyone goes to see these Marvel movies. Soccer moms, kids, families, whatever, what have you. Everyone. Now, Blade, when that came out, I really didn't see as much of a explosion of Blade as Black Panther. Now, the comic book fans, they went to see Blade. They either liked it or they didn't like it. Whatever. It is what it is. And that's fine. But I think a lot of people were more excited about Black Panther because it's a more mainstream movie that had it. Now, of course, you might find other examples years ago, but, I think years ago we didn't have social media as it is now, where everyone's kind of putting their 2 cents out there, so everything's more quick and frequent. But of course he wants to use Black Panther because it's an easy fucking target for people to go after and say, well, see, this is why this happens.
Who am I supposed to relate to? No one's white. Not one, but 2 prominent black actors, Don Cheadle and Jeffrey Wright, started tweeting me about how it's time black people had a movie and how I should be more sensitive to their situation.
Now, the other side of the thing is that, well, there are movies with black actors in them, dude. I mean, Samuel Jackson has a very good career, etc., etc., but I think it's just the ratio. If you count, because I wonder if you count the amount of movies that a normal white actor would have to a movie that a black actor would get, I wonder what the ratio would be, because in most cases it might, maybe there's a good amount of movies with black actors, but it might not be as much as movies with white actors. I can't really say because I didn't look into that, but that might be one of the things that they might be talking about. But of course, it is what it is.
Keep in mind, both of these black actors are already rich and famous.
Oh, because they're rich and famous, they can't really talk about it, right? What about the black actors that just graduated college? What about them? Ah, fuck them, they're not rich. The opinions of rich actors matter. Of course, they're rich. One's on an HBO show. The other one, I can't really... I forgot. He looks familiar to me, I just can't really place him in a movie.
I figured this was such an obviously satirical take on identity politics that no one could miss the joke. Nope. I was releasing a little social stress.
Of course, you make a tweet that has a very clear punchline or a very clear commentary or a very clear comment on what's going on. Of course, people are gonna take it for what it is. It's like, well, they didn't know it was a joke, dude. If it was a joke, then why are you taking it so seriously, dude? Come on.
Satire. That's what comedians are supposed to do.
But they're responding to what you said. You can make a joke about something, and then might instigate a conversation. Whoa. It's almost like when people do social commentary in comedy, they want us to stir up a conversation. So, he made that joke. Those 2 actors came in and responded to that joke in a conversation. Whoops. They should just respond with LOL, dude. Come on.
Releasing social stress used to be the special task of late night comedy. The place that everyone could meet at the end of a long day. But that's dead too. Oh. Nobody takes themselves more seriously than these former comedians.
It's funny he says this too. You know what? I don't know if it's in this video, but there's another video. If it's not this, it's another video that literally contradicts this. I just came to my mind because in either this video or a later video, in another video, a guy makes the point saying that well, comedians on late night television makes fun of Trump too much. They make fun of Trump all the time. But then here he's saying, well, comedy is meant to be a release and talk about stuff that's shared assumptions and, I'm just shooting the shit, dude. And people are taking it too seriously, man. Oh, but they made jokes about Trump? That's too far, man. That's too offensive. This is ridiculous. This hurts my fifis. Funny how it can't go both ways at PragerU. It can only go one way. One way! Whoops.
Seems like Jimmy Kimmel cries more often than he tells jokes these days.
Oh, and I think around this time, Jimmy Kimmel was like really upset about all these shootings that were going on. I mean, it's almost like Jimmy Kimmel, blows my mind to say this, might have feelings about other people's lives. Whoa. You know, it's kind of weird how people kind of act surprised when people are sad that people die in a shooting. Kind of a weird response. You know, usually I would feel sad. I mean, isn't this kind of the same kind of like area of people that say thoughts and prayers to victims of shootings? Wouldn't they be more empathetical to Jimmy Kimmel about feeling sad about these shootings? No, you should make jokes about it because that's the good thing to do right after a shooting. Okay.
And Stephen Colbert is just Rachel Maddow with punchlines.
But it's a joke, dude. Come on. He's just releasing stress. It's just a joke. Why are you taking the joke so seriously? Comedy is dead. I agree.
As if we weren't already divided enough. They're only telling jokes for half the country now.
And you're telling jokes for the other half. Funny how that works. Well, we should make jokes for everyone that has the same sensibilities that I have. But if they're making jokes that don't align with me, they're telling jokes for the other half, and that's fucked up. This is the video. I think this is the video because he starts this whole video off by telling us how, you know, jokes are dividing. People aren't taking jokes too seriously. No one is just laughing at jokes anymore. No one's going with his sense of humor that are racial and edgy, etc., etc., etc. But then when people make jokes that offend him, like, you know, the Stephen Colberts of the world, oh, they're telling jokes for the other half. This is too much, man. Funny how it can't go both ways. If we're gonna be okay with racial humor, we should be okay with humor about Trump and other conservatives, right? Oh, whoops. I guess PragerU just forgot about that. I guess he got so moved by this video he forgot what he said at the beginning.
There's no shortage of things to laugh about. We just need to find them together.
There's no shortage. Then why did you cry about people making fun of fucking Trump? I mean, the other thing is that, like, if they're telling jokes for half of the populace, then maybe you should tell the other half for the other half. You know, maybe other comedians have their own niche, and maybe they have their own kind of audiences. It kind of sounds kind of scary that this guy kind of slightly introduces the idea that comedians should all have the same audience. Is that how comedy works? Is that how creative industries work? Everyone has their own audience. There are people that want to watch certain comedians for certain kind of humor. Now, of course, there might be people that might be critical of that kind of humor. That just happens. That's what happens. You know, I could go to a stand-up. Let's say I go to this guy's stand-up because this guy looks so funny. He tells such great jokes. And I could say, well, I don't really like his humor. You know, it's a little too conservative for me. And that's fine. I could make that criticism. Then I could go out and say, well, I like this guy's stand-up a little bit more, and it might be more liberal kind of humor. Whatever. Everyone has their own audience and have their own comedians that they go to. Everyone has different fucking opinions. I mean, I like David Cross. David Cross is a pretty funny guy. So I'm more in line with him, Dave Chappelle, Key and Peele, etc., etc. But of course you can get people that might not like those kind of comedians. It's kind of dumb to just sit here and make a video and talk about how comedy is dead when comedy has all kinds of genres or audiences. You can't really please everyone. That's kind of the rule of comedy. When you go into comedy, you kind of have to go in knowing that your stand-up might not be for everyone. But okay.
And if we don't, we'll explode. And that's
Funny,
not a
dude.
joke.
Oh, it's not a joke.
I'm Owen Benjamin for PragerU University. Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible. I'm Owen Benjamin for PragerU University.
Please.
Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU videos free, please consider.
Please. He said please. Please, dude. Come on. So there's that. What's next? Why self-esteem is self-defeating? College made me conservative. How to get kids to listen. I don't know if I did this video. Fuck it, we'll watch it. I don't care if I'm repeating.
When was the last
here.
time you heard a child referred to as obedient? It's probably been a while. That's too bad, because the best research tells us that obedient children are happy children.
Oh man, that's Ooh. Obedient kids are happy kids. No, that's I disagree with that. I don't think that's the case. I think the kid might appear happy just because they're obedient. They're gonna understand, my parent wants to see me smile. Well, I guess I have to smile, otherwise I might get punished. So they might give you the results you're looking for because they're obedient. So the studies of obedient kids are happy is kind of biased in of itself if you really think about it. Kind of dumb. Kind of a dumb conclusion if you ask me. I think kids are more happy if they kind of have their own individual will. Now, of course, you're not gonna give a kid complete control of their life because they're fucking kids. But if you're gonna make them kind of like obedient like a fucking dog, no, sir.
And from my experience as a family psychologist, the parents of obedient children are happy parents. Since all parents want their children.
Yeah, because it hides any fucking, like, issue that might be deep rooted into your kid.
To be happy, the question becomes, how does one get a child to obey? Is there some trick?
Funny how he associates happiness with obedience. So in order for a kid to be happy, they have to be obedient. But if the kid's obedient already, they're gonna understand that you have to be happy to be obedient to your parent because that makes your parent happy. Doesn't that seem kind of toxic? I think that's toxic. I think that's a pretty bad relationship. I kind of would not want that if I was a parent. I would want my kid to kind of, feel free to talk to me on their own. They don't have to feel threatened or forced or anything. But this guy wants them to be obedient little pets, I guess. I mean, kids are pets, dude. Come on. Sound good?
To it? Well, there certainly are a lot of parents who think so. They believe that proper discipline is a matter of using the right methods, techniques, and strategies, what I call consequence delivery systems. Parents have been using these behavior modification-based methods since they became popular in the 1960s, seemingly to no avail. Would anyone argue that today's kids are more obedient than kids were several generations ago?
Kids are always... They're fucking kids. And several generations ago, I'm pretty sure they were also pretty, kids. I don't think kids were like slaves or pets several generations ago. Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The reason these...
what's your findings on that? This guy probably had a very, very happy childhood.
Methods and techniques don't work is that proper discipline is not a matter of proper methods. It's a matter of a proper attitude on the part of the parent. Let me illustrate the point. Let's say that for a week, I observed the classroom of a grade school teacher who had
By the way, this face looks so fucking creepy. Imagine being in a classroom, like you're these kids' age, and you see this guy standing like, I'd probably call stranger danger. That's pretty fucking creepy. Ugh, yikes.
has the reputation of being the best disciplinarian in her district. She consistently has fewer behavior problems than any of her colleagues. What is she doing? She's making her expectations perfectly clear, which means, first, she communicates in simple, declarative sentences.
Well, the context here, buddy. She's a teacher, and these kids are at school, so she kind of has to give these clear expectations of how to behave in school. At home, it's a little different kind of system. It's kind of different because, you know, the parent and child relationship is a little bit more dynamic than kids who teach her. It's a little less personal because a teacher is a teacher. A parent is like, you live with them. You can't really have this kind of relationship with your kid. It doesn't quite work. It might work in the short term, but for the long term, it might not work.
She doesn't use 50 words when she could use 10. The more words you use to communicate your expectations, the less confident you sound. Second, she prefaces her instructions to her students with authoritative phrases like,
because she's the fucking authority in the classroom. She has to talk to, like, what, 20 kids or whatever, like a number of kids. She kind of has to be the top dog there. She can't just be like, okay guys, oh man, She kind of has to make it be known you can't really, fuck with her or you're gonna get in trouble. Because it's one of her and a lot of kids.
Want you to, and it's time for you to. She says, it's time for you to take out your math books and turn to page 25, as opposed to, let's take out our math books and turn to page 25, okay?
But also, if you look at the school systems, though, it's not really this organized, and there's a lot of issues with the school system. But in the context of this, we'll just go with the context of this, and we'll just ignore reality for this example. Of course, the teacher's gonna. I mean, it's just so dumb to compare a teacher's relationship with a kid than a fucking parent. They're two different fucking atmospheres. There's different sets of expectations between what a teacher wants out of a kid and a parent. But okay.
Third, this teacher does not explain the motives behind her instructions to her students. Why?
Because the motive is to teach. A kid kinda can understand if the parent tells them about this idea that when you go to school, the motive is to learn. And you have a teacher that teaches you things. It's a very clear motive. But okay.
Because she knows that explanations invite arguments. Whenever parents tell me they're dealing with an argumentative child, I know that these well-intentioned people are explaining themselves. They tell their child why they want him to pick up his toys, for example, and he argues. Because you can always pick apart an explanation. If you don't explain yourself when you give an instruction to a child, then the child, being a child, is almost surely going to ask for one.
Because they're wanting to understand. So let's see what his solution
He's going to ask why or why not. At which point, get ready for a big surprise. Your answer should be, because I said so. These very useful four.
Because I said so, yeah, but wouldn't that also invite more why and why not and more rebellious kids? If you explain, hey, pick up your toys. You might trip and hurt yourself. And then she says, why? Oh, I'm going to watch where I'm going. I'm like, well, you might watch where you're going, but accidents do happen that you don't plan on, and you might get seriously injured. Now, of course, if it's going to be argumentative, they're going to be argumentative regardless. Now, if you said, because I said so, the kid's not going to stop arguing. What kind of kid was this guy? Because I said so. Do you know how many kids fucking hate their parents because of that? Because I said so. Oh, my parents think they're so cool. They're gonna fucking ignore you. No, of course, because I said so. The kids is gonna shut down and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sure that's gonna happen.
Words, and no, they will not cause psychological damage to your kids. Quite the contrary, are a simple but powerful affirmation of the legitimate.
No, it's just gonna make them hate you a little bit more. It's gonna create resentment, because then they're just gonna think that you're people that just have authority and that you get off on it, well, I may not get off on authority, but they're just gonna think that you're just gonna abuse your power. It's just a dumb fucking reason. It's just like, your kid is just trying to understand. Just because the kid asks why isn't bad. I mean, this is kind of dated child therapy, in my opinion, because it's coming off of the notion of the idea, because focus testers operate the same way in a lot of ways, from what I've been reading on that. But kids want to understand the world. They don't know the fucking world. They're fucking 6 years old. Do you think they're gonna understand everything? No. If they want to know why it is important for them to pick up their stuff, you should explain the consequence in a way that they can understand. I mean, you might not have to go into like lengthy discussions, but you could kind of give a response that they can understand. If they want to ask why more, talk to your fucking kid. This guy makes it sound as if it's torture to talk to your kid. Oh no, guys, I have to talk to my kid. I have to talk to my kid. Okay.
Legitimacy of your authority. Say it calmly. Don't scream it. Nothing good is ever accomplished by a person who screams. Last but certainly not least, when giving instructions to a child, do not, let me repeat, do not bend down to the child's level.
Don't get personal with them. They're a fucking child. They're beneath you. Don't go to their level. This guy must have had a very exciting childhood, and his parents might be very healthy people. I mean, very healthy relationship. Talk to them like they're fucking animals. Oh, I'm sorry, but I remember being a kid, and when my parents told me because I said so, all I heard was, "This is just my completely subjective opinion. What if you're a midget?" Oh, rough. But that's just terrible fucking example. This guy is just garbage. Like, this just creates a very unhealthy, toxic relationship between your kid and your fucking adult. Because they're not gonna be open to you. They're not gonna want to talk to you. So if your kid, if they had a childhood of you looking down at them and just saying because I said so, they're not gonna feel comfortable around you. They're gonna hide stuff from you. They're gonna lie to you more often. That's why people say to parents, get down to their level, get personal with them, talk to them, explain stuff to them, because if you do all of that, they're gonna talk to you more, and they're gonna be more open with you. They're gonna be more relaxed around you. If you start talking down to them and saying, because I said so, it's gonna become a cold relationship, but they're not gonna fucking talk to you ever again. They're gonna hide stuff from you, because they're gonna be like, why would I want to talk to my mom or my dad that looks down at me? And this is because I said so. They're not very open to me. I'm not gonna talk to them what I'm doing or I'm going through. And then when your kid comes out and says, oh, I do drugs, you can be like, where did I go wrong? Why didn't I know that my kid has emotional issues? Because you didn't talk to them. Because you just spent your time looking down at them and not thinking of them as people. This is a terrible fucking thing to do to your kid. And he's like, well, it's not gonna damage them. Yeah, it's not gonna damage them. They're just gonna lie to you. And then you're gonna act surprised when you find out that they lied to you. This guy's terrible. Don't listen to this guy. If you're a new parent, don't listen to this guy. Don't listen to him. Cleo has better advice. Cleo would probably be a better parent than this guy would ever be.
Getting a child to do what he or she is told is a matter of looking and acting and talking like you have complete confidence in your authority. Bending down to a child's level does not look authoritative. It looks, in fact, like you're one movement away from being down on your knees in front of a king.
Oh!
I know, you've read somewhere that you should get.
Oh, yeah, that's... So we go down to the pride. Well, I feel embarrassed when I kneel down to my kid who's shorter than me. I don't want to go down there. He should come up to me instead.
Get down to a child's level when you talk to him. Well, all I can tell you is that there's a lot of really bad parenting advice out there, and that's
yeah, you're one of them.
Example.
Congratulations, you're one of the bad people that give bad advice. This is terrible advice. It's just gonna lead to obedient kids that are not happy, or more deceitful kids. They might lie to you more often because they don't feel comfortable around you.
Speak to children from an upright position. That causes them to look up to you. And that is a good thing for them.
Yeah, they should look up to you like you're a king or queen and not to your kid. Fuck you, okay? Why get personal with your kid? It's not like that you live with them and that they might want to talk to you and feel, you know, warm with you. No, fuck that. Talk to them down, look down at them, look at them like they're fucking peons, dude. That's gonna lead to good parenting. Okay.
And for you, both. I'm John Rosemond, author and family psychologist for Prager University.
I'm sure that guy had a normal life. The sexiest man alive. What is this?
Ward Cleaver, the iconic father in the 1950s TV show Leave It to Beaver, is a stud. I'm quite serious. And no, this isn't about nostalgia for America in the 1950s. This is about a man of his time.
When you start off with that, it kind of sounds like it is.
Yet timeless.
Timeless.
But to appreciate him, we first have to get past the noise. A loud corner of American culture has been rebelling against the image of the 1950s since, the 1950s. Most of that scorn has been directed at the Ozzie and Harriet image of American suburban bliss, and specifically Dad. Well, enough already. Can we at least entertain the idea that in the rejection of that stereotypical 1950s suburban dad image, we threw some metaphorical babies out with the bathwater? That if today's men modeled Ward Cleaver, America and the world would be better places?
Yeah, fuck individuality. Just look like you're part of the system, dude.
Sure, compared with current pop icons, he comes across as boring and buttoned down, but it's a very incomplete picture. Of Ward Cleaver, we can also say this.
But that's how it is all the time with new generations. You know, every kid feels that they want to rebel, they want to everyone wants to rebel against the previous generation. That's just how it is. They want to go against the system.
He's a man who takes care of business. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't whine. He doesn't brood in defeat. He knows that his hard work and persistence will eventually win the day, if not...
What if it doesn't? I mean, the thing between Real World and Leave It to Beaver is that one's a TV show, and he's one of the main characters of that show. So you're not gonna really see him kind of struggle like the everyday man. Okay.
Not this day. And there's a lot he's simply outgrown. He never had any interest in perpetuating his own adolescence. He's a grown-up who accepts...
Oh, of course. So if we don't wear suits and we just wear normal, casual clothes, we look like man babies. Guys, we're man children, okay? We wear fucking hoodies and t-shirts and whatever. We're man children, dude. Sound good?
Marriage and fatherhood as the life of an adult. Now, we can quibble about his methods, but we can't dispute that he loves...
This is a very childish kind of outlook on it, though. Because when you're a kid, you kind of see your dad as this kind of, like, strong figure and this and that. I mean, unless you hate your dad, but, I mean... Whatever, I can't talk about you guys. I love my dad. But, you know, you see your dad, you're like, oh, he's authoritative. He's not authoritative, but he's, you know, perfect, dude. But, I mean, in the real world, though, that might not be the case. Okay.
Wife and kids, and they know he loves them, and that he tries to do what's best for them, usually pretty successfully. What is not in dispute is that he's the man of the house, and he wears that title with pride. And everyone, including his wife, likes that fact.
But that is an outdated thing, though. Because now we have women in the workplace, we have women coming home with the paychecks, you have house stats now. I mean, we have all these, like, things are much more dynamic now than the 50s. And the 50s was much more restrictive on a lot of norms at that time. And then you started blossoming out into other things, and things have changed since then. We can't live in the 1950s forever. Things change. Things progress. And it's just, this is kind of an outdated look. It's so fucking, like, constrictive and just outdated. No one does this anymore. It's an outdated look because we don't live in that society anymore. The society has changed so much. Things weren't like it is then. Things are so much different. For better or for worse.
Ward wasn't alone. There were lots of other iconic dads of that era. Ozzie Nelson of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Jim Anderson from Father Knows Best. And one could argue George Bailey in the 1946 film, It's a Wonderful Life. They were grown-ups who'd already been through a Great Depression and in many cases were veterans of World War II or later the Korean War. Their archetype outlasted the 1950s. Steve Douglas of My Three Sons, Mike Brady.
But they don't really talk about the PTSD of soldiers and this and that. I mean, it's not perfect at all. Things have changed. It's not this, like, fucking clean. Like, the 1950s had this idealistic portrayal. It's idealistic for a reason. It's not real. Whatever. It's like watching TV and then you see, like, a brooding, self-destructive character. I mean, there might be self-destructive people in the real world. I mean, that's you know, that's the case. But not everyone is like this kind of is like that. It's a different kind of thing.
Of the Brady Bunch, Howard Cunningham in Happy Days, and Cliff Huxtable in The Cosby Show. We're talking TV characters here, shared similar traits. Like all human beings who have ever lived and whoever will live, these men had flaws. But in the end, they were solid and dependable. If you had to summarize them in one word, that word would be responsible. Maybe they seem like such throwbacks now because so much of our culture has thoroughly embraced irresponsibility. But if you ask women what they really want...
It's more realistic. You know, you can always claim you're a responsible individual, but you make mistakes. And he says that all these people were flawed, but they didn't really seem flawed in the shows. Like, from what I remember from Happy Days, I mean, the father really wasn't that flawed. Whatever. It is what it is.
In a man. Or at least those women who have outgrown their adolescent fascination with bad boys. They may not say Ward Cleaver, but they'll describe most, if not all, of his traits. Reliable, trustworthy, smart, confident but not smug, funny and capable of laughing at himself, a man who's successful at work but not a workaholic, a man who likes children but is not a child himself, perhaps most importantly, devoted to his family. It's an indisputably masculine figure.
But now it's not really a masculine... oh no, he's talking about figures, but these are the same things that men looking for women as well. That they are as equally responsible. It's not... whatever.
No mistake, that's what most women want and what all children need. Now, I'm not saying that the Ward Cleavers of the world are off limits to criticism or even mockery. I'm just pointing out that there was a time not that long ago when men were expected to work hard, be good husbands, neighbors, and friends, to raise children, and to act as role models for the next generation. Sure, laugh at them, but remember they are what our world is built on. And here is where Ward Cleaver fits in today, where he's never gone out of style. Not really. Getting married, being a father, working your way to owning a home, these are probably the best things that will ever happen to most of us.
So this is a very, very depressing outlook on life. So so the best outcome for men is to get married, to be a father. I mean, owning a home. I mean, well, working is important. I mean, working is kind of what we need. But do we really need to be married? Do we really need a father? Do we need to be a father? Do we really need to? Some people may not be made to be fathers. If we're gonna really, act as if men need to be fathers, men need to strive to get a family, then DSP should get a kid because he's gonna be such a great father. Like, there are just people not meant to have kids, and that's why we see a lot of dysfunctional families. A lot of people just are not capable of it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not gonna shit on people who are not capable, but it's just that you don't. I don't think it's healthy, in my opinion, to kind of go through a checklist of things to do for your life. You should kind of just do stuff that you feel comfortable doing. You should not be like, I need to get a wife. I need to have a kid. I need to have a house. That's just not really happy or healthy, and that's not be a good thing at the end of the day. But he kind of makes it seem as if we should all strive to this, and I kind of disagree with that.
Our culture snickers at Ward Cleaver types, but it is
because it's outdated. Because now we live in a society. Excuse me. Men don't need to really do that. We don't really need to strive to make a family anymore. And if anything, maybe you don't really need more kids or to expand the population anymore as much. But that's a whole other thing. But not everyone needs to make a family. Things have changed. Everything has changed. Not everyone needs to be a father. And it's like, well, this is where our society has kind of stickered at. But our society has changed a lot. And you can't really expect that these kind of societal norms are going to be around for long.
Getting a falsehood when it paints them as stifled, miserable, hollowed-out men, yearning for their carefree bachelor days and regretting their commitments.
Because that's hold on.
But it is propagating a falsehood when it paints them as stifled, miserable, hollowed-out men, yearning for their carefree bachelor days and regretting their Ward Cleaver. But it is propagating a falsehood when it paints way to owning a home. These are probably the best things that will ever happen to most of us. Our culture snickers at Ward Cleaver types, but it is propagating a falsehood when it paints them as stifled, miserable, hollowed-out men, yearning for their carefree bachelor days and regretting their commitments. What leaves a man depressed and hollow inside is not attachments, but the lack of them. Consider this. If all the slackers in the world disappeared tomorrow, the video game industry would collapse.
Only slackers buy video games, dude. You heard it here first. You buy a video game, you're a slacker. Congratulations, dude. You're a slacker.
But if all the Ward Cleavers of the world disappeared tomorrow, civilization would collapse.
Okay.
All the slackers in the world regretting their commitments. What leaves a man depressed and hollow inside is not attachments, but the lack of them.
Isn't it more depressing to think of life like this, though? But at the same time, you can also be depressed from having attachments. Because as I said, if you go through your life through a checklist, and you're like, oh, I need to have a wife, I need to have a family, you might sit there and just be like, and be depressed about what could have been your life. Maybe it's like, well, now I can't do this because I have this, and that might not be necessarily depressed, but it might lead to other depressions. It's a very complex thing. Not everyone's wired the same way. People might not want to have a family. They may not be happy with their life because they may not feel like this is what they're meant to be. Because if they form a family, they have the attachments, and that might shut closed doors that they might want to have gone through, and that might leave them depressed. Not everyone is the same. Sure, some people might feel depressed about not having these kind of attachments. That's fine too. I mean, well, it's not fun to be depressed, but that might happen too. It goes both ways. And not everyone's the same. Not every man longs to be a family man. So it's kind of shallow, or at least kind of, not ignorant, but just outdated to think that every man longs to do this. I don't really agree with this. I know, shocker. I don't agree with the PragerU video.
Consider this. If all the slackers in the world disappeared tomorrow, the video game industry would collapse.
Why? Video games have gotten so much bigger now that I don't even think slackers fund it anymore. And how would the video game okay, and also think about this. Think about this. Slackers imply that they're unemployed, they have no job. So how would the video game industry collapse? Why wouldn't it have a collapse already? If you who are unemployed are playing video games. Weird. Okay.
But if all the Ward Cleavers of the world disappeared tomorrow, civilization would collapse. I'm Jim Garrity of the National Review for Prager University.
Like this, there's no
To
balance.
subscribe to
There's like no balance with these videos. These videos are very black and white, one way. It's never like these aren't really nuanced videos. Ugh. Was this 6 minute live? I think that was. Let's see. Let's watch this. The Conservative Student Scott Survival Guide.
As a professor at a major American university, I am well aware of higher education's liberal bias. I also know the unique challenges that college students with conservative views face. If you're one of those students, here are 7 ways you can turn those challenges into opportunities for learning and growth. 1. Face reality. The reality is that at most colleges and universities, the leftist worldview is the norm. Everything else is considered a deviation.
I think I know why I picked this video. Well, slightly thinking of it because I watched this and it was a very weird video. And one of the things that I find weird about this video is that it kind of makes it seem more combative than it should. You know, it's no secret I'm a fucking liberal. Oh no, if you're a liberal, but I'm always open to hear other viewpoints. I think the issue with a lot of people is that they kind of stick with their own ideologies, very, very like close, and they don't really open themselves to other worldviews. You know, there are things that both the right and the left both have good values to them. I don't think that, you know, one or the other is bad or wrong or unethical, but I think they have their own like good and bad. Everything has good and bad. Everything. Moderation.
This is certainly the case in the humanities and social sciences. Even the hard sciences and professional majors like business have been influenced, although, thus far at least, to a much lesser degree. Simply being aware of this ideological imbalance is a big step forward. It will help you think critically.
But what if you're ideologically imbalanced, though? So wouldn't it be more beneficial to hear the other side of the aisle and kind of weigh and balance both from what you learned? Because at the same time, if you listen to one thing, just one thing, and you just operate through that one thing, how are you going to react to other worldviews? Oh, well, that's not reality, dude. But what if you're not reality? I mean, the thing is that everyone's like saying like, oh, well, see, these people who want socialistic practices don't understand the realism of socialism and how it might collapse the United States, etc., etc. But at the same time, capitalism isn't great either. It's not terrible. I mean, I think capitalism has a lot of positives to it, but there's also a lot of negatives to weigh with it. Socialism, sure, it might not work completely, but there's some stuff in socialism that I do think that is a good area. You know, I do think that everyone has the right to have healthcare. I do think that kind of stuff, and a lot of people might say that's socialism, but I think healthcare is important. I think it's important to understand both sides of the aisle. I mean, you can't really sit there and think that capitalism is flawless when capitalism has its own fair share of issues. But okay, it is what it is.
About what you're being taught. 2. Seek out allies. The easiest way to do this is to identify the non-left and conservative groups and clubs on campus and to join some of them. We all need allies. We all need friends with whom we can talk freely.
Look at how militaristic this sounds. It sounds like when you go to college, you're gonna be like kind of going there and just fucking killing people or something. Oh God, liberals are here. Okay, I need to survive, guys. I need to go there and you fucking relax. You're there to learn. You're there to get an education and get out of there and then go into the real world. Your political ideologies are just political ideologies. You don't have to sit. They're not gonna flunk you if you don't agree with political ideologies. I just think it's kind of silly because, I went to college, I didn't really see that. I mean, the only thing that I kind of saw was, I don't know. I mean, I did take a Canadian Studies course. But it is what it is.
Fellow independent thinking students can give you advice on how to navigate the politically correct obstacle course that runs through almost all college campuses, and where to find the few non-leftist faculty.
Political correctness, dude.
3. Avoid pointless ideological battles. It's not your personal responsibility to correct the leftist bias that permeates higher education. You're not going to turn around the professor who has no patience for your conservative views, so don't try.
The professors I had were usually open to conversation, and then if it's like, because that's kind of the point. I mean, I went to a college that was in a very conservative area. I mean, these people were really conservative, and we had liberal things going around in that campus, and I saw no one kind of like explode or die or get angry or be like, oh, this is terrible. And then when people kind of like had a conversation about different ideologies, it was kind of welcomed. Okay.
It's fine to pose probing questions, but don't push too hard. The same goes for your fellow students who espouse leftist views. Probe, but don't push too hard. Also recognize that many left-leaning faculty are committed to an open discussion of controversial topics. Conflicts with closed-minded professors will happen less often than you might imagine. 4. Stay cool.
But he just said that professors don't listen to... What? Wait, hold on.
Exist. 3. Avoid pointless ideological battles. It's not your personal responsibility to correct the leftist bias that permeates higher education. You're not going to turn around the professor who has no patience for your conservative views, so don't try. It's fine to pose probing questions, but don't push too hard. The same goes for your fellow students who espouse leftist views. Probe, but don't push too hard. Also recognize that many left-leaning faculty are committed to an open discussion of controversial topics. Conflicts with closed-minded professors will happen less often than you might imagine. 4.
But, maybe the reason why the professor won't have a student trying to change their worldview is because, well, one is going through college and the other one, had years of experience and they just don't want to deal with people thinking that they know better. It's kind of like the same thing that PragerU kind of shits on. They kind of shit on college students that think that they know what they're talking about. Kind of weird, right? Well, college students don't think they know everything. Well, if you're a conservative, you know everything. So don't probe, man. Don't push, man. Come on. Weird.
Stay cool. If you do mix it up with a leftist professor or fellow student, always be calm, reasonable, and respectful, even if they don't return the favor. Think of yourself as an ambassador of conservative ideas.
Yeah, of course. Of course, the liberals are the ones that are hot-headed. It's not just people who are just very hot-headed, right? Okay.
Coming off as a hothead isn't going to help the cause. It's not easy to control your temper, especially when you're being falsely accused of being sexist, intolerant, xenophobic, bigoted, or racist.
But then maybe try to explain the situation. If you're not any of those things, it should be very easy.
But that's what you have to do. Your opponents will look
Is
for
what it
any
is.
excuse to dismiss you as a crazy conservative, so don't give them the chance. Remember this, the person who loses his cool often loses the debate. 5. Choose wisely.
Like, listen to this. Like, apparently, when you go to college, you're gonna be debating everywhere. I mean, I don't know what colleges that they went to, but I mean, I didn't participate in any debates. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, man, you're gonna be debating what debates? I don't know.
Consider a major that isn't inherently hostile to conservative ideas. The hard sciences like physics and chemistry are much less likely to be politicized, in part because the material is less subjective. In the social sciences, political science and economics tend to be more tolerant of conservative ideas, if only because a proportionally large minority of the faculty hold views that are centrist or right of center. For example, in the years I've taught at Penn State University in Harrisburg, the political science faculty have been, without exception, committed to teaching politics and policy impartially. On the other hand...
But you just said they're also center-right. How is that impartial? And how is it impartial if it leans to conservatives? Whoops.
Gender studies, ethnic studies, and pretty much anything with the word studies after it tend to be more ideological. I would suggest steering clear of these courses your freshman year.
Yeah, don't listen to those. Don't listen to any other discussions. Just be closed-minded. Close your mind to other new ideas, and just focus on stuff that reaffirms your own beliefs. That's a much better way to live your life. Don't try to be open-minded. Fuck that. Close your mind. The point of these ideological studies is to open your fucking mind. That's the point. Just because you disagree with it, because it's just you've never really been taught that or told that in your life. You know, a lot of times when people go to college, they're woke because they heard things that no one's ever told them before. These things are supposed to introduce ideas to you. It's up to you if you disagree or agree or what have you, but the point of these courses are to introduce new ideas. That's kind of the point of college. It's kind of dumb to just sit there and assume that these gender studies courses are to change your way of life and to change your way to view things. It's to introduce new ideas for you to be more critical of what you thought was fact. Because how does a person who never went to college magically know about gender studies and all these other ideas if they never learned them? Or were introduced to these ideas? Wouldn't it best suit you to kind of understand these discussions a little bit more, read other authors, read other publications, being taught other things? Wouldn't it be more beneficial? I mean, you know, that's why you read multiple books, because you get better ideas. This is just kind of stunting your own creativity. This is the issue with this video, is that it promotes closed-mindedness. When you go to college, just be open-minded, just be willing to hear other ideologies, because that's how you become a better person. That's how you become a person. Well, you are a person regardless, but that's how you become more informed. You know, it's the same issue that people accuse people who read one publication over the other, because they're closing themselves up to the ideas of other things. Oh well, fuck it, close your mind, dude. Sound good?
Wait until you've had a little more experience and confidence before taking on these subjects. 6. Know your rights. If your instructor or even the administration...
Oh shit, the professor is a fucking cop, dude. Know your rights. They're gonna arrest you. They're gonna come for you. Oh, whoops.
...targets you because of your beliefs. You have options. Organizations like the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, FIRE, who fight for freedom of speech, religious liberty, and due process on college campuses can help you. You may be in an ideological minority, but you're not alone. 7. Work hard. College faculty value hardworking, enthusiastic students. Period. The easiest way to win over your leftist professor is to do your classwork in a conscientious manner. That's your...
No way. If you do the assignments that the professor assigns, this shocks me.
...way of showing respect. Many teachers will respect you in turn if you read the assigned materials, take part in class discussion, and show that you understand the key concepts, chances are you'll do just fine.
It's kind of like the professor expects you to go to their class, give their ideas a chance, entertain the ideas, and then participate in a discussion. Whoa! Whoa, man. This is insane. This is too insane, man.
As
Let
I
me tell
noted in a
ya.
previous pre-university course, How the Liberal University Hurts the Liberal Student, I believe that conservative students stand to get more out of their college experience than their liberal counterparts. Why? Because conservative students are constantly exposed to dissenting viewpoints. This opposition sharpens them intellectually and helps them grow. The secret is to be prepared. Follow these 7 rules and you will be. I'm Matthew Wessner, Associate Professor of Political Science at Penn State Harrisburg.
Yeah. I learned more at McDonald's in college? What the fuck is this?
Here's what I was told during my freshman orientation at Haverford College. Ask for help when you need it. Speak up when you feel uncomfortable. Place your own well-being above all other concerns. In short, the school was ready to protect me from any personal slights or hurt feelings I might suffer. What counted as a personal slight or similar offense was up to me to define.
Whoa! It's like it's you have responsibility? Oh,
Surprised me.
weird.
It surprised me because at McDonald's, where I worked before I started school, acting in this way would have probably cost me my job.
It's almost like the college respects you as a person, and if you had an issue, you could talk about it if you want. You're not forced to, but if you want. While McDonald's, well, they kinda care about the almighty dollar. So, yeah, they respect the money more than they respect you. Isn't that funny how that works? It's almost like corporations just love money. Weird. Whoa.
A job I needed in order to go to college. The most important thing at McDonald's was not how I felt, but how my customers felt. It was my job, and the job of everyone working there, to make others, namely the customers, happy. I worked at the front counter. That meant that if there was a problem with
Already, this is the dumbest. This is a pretty dumb video. Already, there's a lot of red flags going up here because first off, college and McDonald's are 2 different fucking environments. One, if you live in a dorm, you live there, so it might be in your best interest to kind of feel comfortable in where you fucking live. You don't want to kind of live in a place where you might, get fucked over, or, feel unsafe or what have you. You don't want to feel that way when you go to a college and a dorm. You also want to feel like at least a person at college, a place, an institution where ideas are supposed to be free and you're supposed to, talk and debate, and you're gonna be surrounded by a lot of people there. Well, like when you're at your job, you're fucking representing a company. You have responsibilities to serve a customer. It's 2 different fucking environments. This is such a dumb comparison. Like, I'm surprised this video exists. I'm surprised this person made this video thinking that this made sense. But okay.
in order, I had to deal with it. The issues weren't complicated. It was usually something like a missing piece of cheese from a McDouble, or whipped cream on a milkshake when they hadn't wanted any. Whatever it was, I had to listen patiently and mentally take notes so that I could.
And guess what? A lot of people hate their job. If you talk to anyone who has a retail job, you hear horror stories. You're not gonna hear them say, "Yeah, man." It's gonna be pretty rough.
Report the relevant details to someone who could actually correct the problem. Oddly enough, customers were not interested in carefully crafting their complaints in such a way as to spare my feelings. They were in a rush to get back to work, or they were dealing with their screaming kids, or they had calculated the cost of their meal down to the cent out of necessity and could not afford a mistake. And they had a right to have their meal served the way they ordered it. If a mistake was made, we fixed it as quickly as possible and didn't talk back. Even if I believed the customer had misunderstood some aspect of their order and was actually the one at fault, I was instructed to give the person the benefit of the doubt. Their feelings mattered more than mine. At McDonald's, there was no trigger warning for when a customer was about to start yelling.
Buzzwords. Here it is. In campuses that you need trigger warnings, you need to watch where you step, man. But it's like a different environment completely. Of course, you can't talk back to the customer because the customer has, whatever going on in their life. But again, you're representing a company, and the company cares about money. So of course you're gonna have to kind of take the hit because the company wants that money. They want the money from that wallet. They don't care about the fucking employees. That's kind of what corporations are. They care about the money. Money, money, money. College, in that environment, you're not getting paid to be there. You're paying the campus there a lot of fucking money. So wouldn't it be in your best interest to kind of feel comfortable there? You're paying a lot of money to be there. Kind of like how the customer pays a lot of money to be there. There we go. Okay, we're gonna use this fucking example against her, dude. Sound good? So, you go to college, you pay that huge tuition fee. Do you want to be spending a huge fee just to take shit? If a lot of students, are like, oh fuck, you're just gonna sit there and take it? Fuck that, you're gonna want to pull out, you want to take the money back. So the campus wants to open this field of, well, if you have an issue, we'll take care of it because we love your money. I mean, we love you. There we go. There it is. What? Boom, take that, conservative. Take that, PragerU. Whoa.
Yelling. No safe spaces to go to when the restaurant would get so busy that I barely had time to breathe between orders.
Well, technically, you do have a safe space. It's called a bathroom break or a lunch break. Oh, I guess that doesn't count.
When a group of men in the drive-thru would whistle and catcall me as they pulled away, there was no university administrator for me to run to for soothing and reassurance.
I don't think people run to reassurance for that. They probably just get fucking annoyed. It's kind of an understandable reaction. I don't think anyone sat there and was like, well, let's get rid of the customers that catcalled, dude. Sound good? It's more of just like, I hate that this happens. This sucks. People are fucking stupid. Okay, we're gonna compare this to fucking college, I guess. Okay. Because, college, I mean, what could go wrong, right?
And from these experiences, the good, the bad, and the flat-out ugly, I grew. Or, to use a word one doesn't see.
But again, the college gives you the option, so what's the complaint here? The college gives you the option to talk to people. The horror. Well, at work, I get treated like shit all the time, and I'm okay with it. I mean, come on. If you're okay with it, then you don't really need to go to the fucking school, right? I mean, why are we... This is what I don't get. People give you these options that you don't have to use. But if someone wants to use it, they should be allowed to use it. Just because you can take whatever doesn't mean everyone has to. Like, it's kind of dumb, but whatever. It's like, whatever. It is what it is, I guess.
Anymore. I matured. I learned to take care of myself in ways that didn't inconvenience anyone, or draw unnecessary attention to myself, or let my personal problems interfere with the work that had to be done. In short, I had a job to do, and people counted on me to do it. Had I complained to my McDonald's manager that I became anxious when the restaurant was crowded, or that hearing complaints from customers made me nervous, he would have politely handed me my paycheck and shown me the door. I would have gone home.
Yeah, it's almost like McDonald's cares about money. Whoa.
And been unable to pay the student contribution from summer work that is built into my financial aid package. So, I'm grateful to have worked at McDonald's. It taught me how to better handle my anxiety, how to work with others.
Again, everyone feels differently, but maybe that's why you had that scholarship in the first place, to get balance, like, so you know how the real world is, and then if you are at school and you want to take it out, or if you want to feel relaxed, you have that option. Man, crazy, right? Because maybe you could use college to find a way to cope with that better. I don't know, whatever. It is what it is, I guess.
In pursuit of a common goal. It strengthened my character, my work ethic, and my sense of my own resilience. These are lessons that cannot be learned in the safe spaces of the Haverford campus. Here's one more thing I learned. Putting oneself first is the essence of privilege, but putting oneself first does not develop character or lead to personal growth.
Yeah, don't care about yourself. Fuck you. You know what? I hate myself now. You know, I'm an idiot. Fuck me. Fuck Theo. I'm just gonna focus on everything else but me. You know, whatever. It is what it is. Why would I want to take my own interests at heart, right? Oh, stupid.
Putting others first does.
Oh,
McDonald's is a far better teacher.
Yeah, be a fucking slave for the rest of your life. You'll be just fine. Don't be an individual thinker. If you go to college and you're like stressed out, or you know someone's harassing you or whatever, just fucking take it, okay? You know, if they start going after you with personal insults, just take it. Just sit there and smile about it. Be like, hell yeah, man. You know, and if you feel like kind of depressed over it or whatever, hey man, put their needs above yours. Okay.
That lesson than college. I'm Olivia Legaspi of Haverford College for Prager University.
I feel like I've seen this one too.
To subscribe to...
I watch a lot of these videos because they're kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb fun. Men and the power of the visual. I think I know what this
Every
is.
year, men spend billions of dollars to look at women with little clothing on, such as the annual Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, or with no clothing on, such as on internet sites and in so-called...
Pay money for porn. Okay, Grandpa. Yeah, yeah. People pay money for porn. Oh, what a way to start.
magazines. Women, on the other hand, spend virtually nothing to see unclothed men. Why?
I remember this video a little bit because I watched this and I was just like, this is kind of dumb. How does he know women don't pay men to take their clothes off? I mean, there are male strippers. It's kind of a business. But you might be asking that yourself as well. What is this guy talking about? What's Grandpa talking about? I mean, he starts off by saying that men pay for porn on the internet. So, I mean, obviously he knows what he's talking about, right?
Some say that the reason is that men are socialized into viewing women as sex objects, and that women are socialized into not viewing men as sex objects. But if that's true, how do these people explain gay men? They are as aroused by pictures of naked men as heterosexual men are aroused by pictures of naked women. Obviously, then, it's not socialization. It's that men are programmed by nature, not by society, to respond sexually to the visual. This is an area in which men are so different from women that it's probably impossible. No, not probably, just outright impossible for a woman to truly understand.
Yeah, women can't understand, dude. They're fucking peons, man. Sound good?
Of course, women find some men attractive. And of course, a woman can have an intense reaction to seeing a very appealing man. But there's still no comparison.
What? So, men see women, they get sexually aroused. Well, women can't find a man attractive, but they just don't get sexually aroused? Okay.
The visual alone arouses men. It takes far more to arouse.
Like, I kind of like how this kind of shits on both genders in a way, because he kind of portrays men as brainless idiots. They're like the peeps, dude, like DSP, and then he portrays women as if they're fucking brainless as well. Well, I'll give this guy credit. He's equally shitting on both genders at the same time. Okay.
A woman than seeing naked men. If that's all it took, most husbands would walk around the house naked whenever possible.
So women can't get aroused by a buff man that has no body hair, like they shave their chest hair and all that. They can't get aroused by that? I think they can. But he's probably operating on the notion that he's not a woman, he doesn't understand it, dude.
Or at least every time they wanted sex. And the average heterosexual man is excited countless times a day simply by seeing women. In person, on billboards, in magazines, on television, and even in his imagination. This is not the case for women.
Yeah, women don't have sexual dreams. They don't fucking yearn for attractive men. That's dumb. No way. Women? No. No. Because I don't find men attractive, they can't find men attractive. That makes so much sense. Since I'm not sexually aroused by men, women can't be. No. They could think that men are cute and handsome like I can, but they can't think that they can't be sexually stimulated like because I can't. Sound logic.
Yes, there are some male strip shows for women, but few women ever go, and the few who do...
How do you know this? Few women ever go. How do you know? You don't. Unless you fucking pull. But even then, if you ask anyone if they went to a strip show, they might say no. Or if they do, they probably say they went with friends. And, you know. So it all depends.
Attend them in groups. A girls' night out. And for every one of those shows, there are probably 10,000 female strip shows for males. Most of whom attend alone, not as a participant in a guy's night out. Let's be honest.
Yeah, guys go to strip shows by themselves. I don't know, whatever. Maybe
there was no magazine featuring men's legs for women to look at.
Well, that's probably why people say it's sexist, dude. You could find attractive male legs, probably. Kinda dumb.
And get aroused by.
Whatever.
But there are websites and magazines of women's legs for men. And are women paying to view topless men? Men pay good money to look at topless women.
Do they?
Again, that doesn't mean women never get turned on by merely looking at some...
I like how he says he's like, that doesn't mean... What I just said, that doesn't mean that. It does happen, but it doesn't count. That's pretty much what he's saying. Which is a dumb argument to begin with. You can't just say this happens, but it doesn't count. That's not how it works.
Men? Of course they do. But it's only some men.
Oh,
on rare occasion, a stranger, and more usually a celebrity.
Oh, of course.
Men get turned on by any sight of female flesh on almost any female. The effect of the visual in men is so powerful that it even amazes men. A man came over to me after hearing me lecture on male sexuality and said, "I've got a story to tell you. I was in front of a department store and the window was a seated mannequin. I couldn't believe it, but I found myself looking up her skirt."
Really?
Here was a...
Really? That's... I felt bad for laughing because that's kind of sad. That's pretty sad if you got turned on by a mannequin. Well, then again, I did draw this. And I'm sure someone's turned on by this.
Perfectly normal, responsible man who found himself looking up a skirt on an inanimate object shaped like a woman. That's how instinctive it is for men to look.
How is that instinctive? Mannequin's man-made. It has really no human features other than the form, but it doesn't really have like skin, doesn't have any identifiers. I don't know.
Look at female flesh. It's perfectly understandable that women cannot fully relate to this. But if a woman wants to understand male sexuality, the first thing she has to understand is the power of the visual. That's why you see ads on billboards, on TV, and in magazines for every sort of product a man might buy, accompanied by a scantily clad woman, or sometimes just part of her. I recall a famous liquor ad that showed a woman's legs and a bottle of tequila. No face, just beautiful legs. Would you ever see an ad showing men's legs? People
No, but you could find ads that have shirtless men that are muscular. But I guarantee in his little mind, he doesn't count it because men topless are normal and not sexual at all. But women are completely sexual. This kind of makes women seem to be sexual objects. So this whole video is kind of explaining how women are sexual objects, just with fancy terms to kind of make it seem okay to think this way. You see why this video is kind of dumb? This guy doesn't make a good argument. If anything, it's kind of misogynistic, if you ask me. Because he's kind of making a defense to have, well, see, men are turned on by this, so it's okay to see sexualized images of women. No one gets sexually turned on by men, so, you know, that's fine. That's whatever. Fuck that. So he's kind of making a defense for sexualizing women and making them objective. Making them a objectified object. Okay.
would laugh. It would be considered absurd. An ad with women's legs is not absurd. It's alluring. None of this is in any way meant to excuse inappropriate male behavior. Men must always control themselves. But to deny...
But be careful, men. You get turned on by just the look of women and you become a monster. You're like, "Argh!" You go crazy, dude. Better be careful.
The power of the visual on men is like denying that the earth is round. I'm Dennis Prager.
Because I'm a flat earther there.
To subscribe to our...
Yeah, this guy's a fucking... That guy made multiple videos too, by the way. That's kind of silly, but I guess we'll get there when we get there. Let's see. Sticks and Stones, what's this about?
I'm always telling my daughter stories from when I was a kid. By comparison, the world of my youth was rougher and meaner than the world that kids grow up in today.
Really?
So here's my question.
Okay.
Did this rougher and meaner world better prepare me to be a well-adjusted, happy adult?
Yeah, kids don't get bullied anymore, guys. That doesn't happen ever. Ever. And also, there's also a lot of school shootings, so I don't know. I don't know about how well this video from 2016 has aged. It didn't age very well, if you ask me.
I say yes. When I was a kid, you could say we were less sensitive about a lot of things. I mean, just look at the commercials we watched. We had the Frito Bandito, the cartoon spokesman for Fritos. He was a 3.5-foot tall Mexican thief. Can you imagine pitching that at an ad agency today? The Frito Bandito, okay. All right, Phil, you don't work here anymore. Yeah, you gotta go clean out your desk right now.
Wow, it's like that it reaffirms negative stereotypes of Mexicans and they don't want that to be a spokesman of their fucking company. Who would have thought that, right? Crazy.
Some were violent. Hawaiian Punch? Every commercial was the same. A cartoon Hawaiian character walks up to an unsuspecting cartoon tourist and says, "Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?" "Sure," says the tourist, which gets him punched directly in the face. We all thought that was hilarious. Kids had to be tougher then, too. An occasional playground fight was expected. And as for teasing, my mom had a remedy for that. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Oh.
She used to say that all the time.
Okay.
One of the seemingly endless adages she had at her disposal to deal with any of life's problems. But I'd think long and hard about the practical applications that statement had on my life. That's true, I thought. If someone punches you in the chest, it hurts no matter what. But with words, it all depends on how you think about it.
Yeah, but if a kid kind of knows your vulnerabilities on a personal level, it can kind of hurt. But bullies kind of do a mix of things. I mean, bullies are not one-trick ponies. I mean, they just don't do one thing and they stick to it. I mean, come on. They're bullies.
You could actually choose whether or not to be hurt. You can't
Choose
choose
not
whether or
to
not
be
a punch
hurt.
hurts. But
Yeah, that's gonna stop the bullies. Go up to them when they make fun of you. You say, I choose not to get hurt. They're gonna find something else to find. Because again, bullies don't stop. I don't think they ever stopped. I don't even think bullies in current year has stopped. You think bullies in current year just stop being bullies? Come on. Come on.
You can choose whether or not words hurt. That was huge. Even though it had been repeated ad nauseum for generations, sticks and stones really was a powerful bit of philosophy to a kid. That's one of the great things about being a parent. You can spout cliches till the cows come home, and yet, to your child, it's all new. You come off as one of the great thinkers in Western culture. But does anyone really say sticks and stones anymore? I doubt there's a grammar school teacher today who's even allowed to utter that phrase. They're much more likely to warn against the ever-present danger of hate speech or triggers or hurting people's feelings. This is done in the name of teaching children to respect each other.
Yeah, kids should not respect each other. Fuck that. Kids should just be crazy and go after each other and everyone. But that's always been the case, though. Like, you're really telling me that? Because even when I was in elementary school, I mean, people got in trouble for insulting people. That's always been the case. Oh, okay.
It begins innocently enough by trying to eradicate teasing, but it continues into middle and high school, where there's no greater sin than offending someone's personal or cultural sensitivity. We've seen what used to be called...
Yeah, it's like people should just not offend people's culture. Wow, not being an asshole's hard, guys.
Great books banned because of fear of offending. That would not have even occurred to us years ago. Of course, how could the physical abuse in The Great Gatsby harm us in high school when we spent our childhood watching Jerry the Mouse staple gun Tom the Cat's tongue to the wall?
Well, Tom and Jerry are cartoon cat and mouse.
Could reading an honest depiction of racial attitudes in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn harm us when we sang "Ay, ay, ay, ay" along with the Frito Bandito? Or fat kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks, tough kids, sissy kids. They said sissy kids.
Whoa.
Even kids with chicken pox. We sang that along with the Armour hot dog kids on our TV sets.
Jeez.
Now people look back and some feel ashamed that teasing was expected in childhood. And stereotypes were commonplace in our culture. But was growing up in that environment worse than the hypersensitive culture we live in now?
It can go both ways, but at the same time, we shouldn't really nurture shitty behavior. I don't know. Maybe we're asking too much of humanity. We're asking people to be kind. Whoops.
I look at the rough and tumble of childhood and the process of learning to deal with bullying.
I mean, kids have it hard regardless. I mean, I think it's just kind of naive to assume that kids today don't have bullies and they don't get bullied, they don't get beat up, they don't, get offended. I mean, people get offended. And be like, well, kids need to toughen up. They need to hear that, that they're idiots and they're fucking retards and blah, 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 whatever. But, that could drive a kid to be suicidal. That might drive kids to, do very dangerous things to themselves. Do we really want to nurture a kid in that kind of environment where, it might drive them to do very harmful things to themselves? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't. But, hey man, he grew up in it. He's tough, man. He's a tough guy. He grew up with the Frito-Lay dude. So, obviously all the kids are the same. Everyone's the same. No one ever, grew up to be, depressed or feel inadequate or feel unequal or whatever from being treated like shit when they were a kid, right? No. Come on, guys, toughen up. Okay.
Assaulted as a process of inoculation.
And no, I'm not saying that kids don't need to toughen up or anything, but at the same time, it should be there should be tools for these kids to use. You could get, as it's obvious, bullies don't just stop at school. I mean, they might follow you home, they might do whatever. They're bullies. You're gonna get tough regardless, but at the same time, it's important for kids to have somewhere to go when this shit happens. doing nothing isn't necessarily a fix or good.
After each instance of being offended and then repeating my mother's sticks and stones philosophy, it was like a vaccine that built up my immune system. Eventually, you're resistant. And often, you weren't even aware it was happening. I can't imagine my college-age self living in fear of microaggression.
But wouldn't that also mean that you're like kind of dead inside and I don't know, whatever.
Yet today, there are full-time campus administrators whose job involves scrubbing the campus curriculum and social life of anything that might offend anyone. And these are college students, ostensible adults, headed into the job market. I don't want to offend anyone with a microaggression if they're holding a scalpel. I try to laugh it off.
Okay, so why would you ask your doctor, where are you from? Hey doctor, where are you from? What's your deal? What's this? I mean, that's kind of a shitty thing to do. Honestly, imagine if you're working and then a customer comes up and says, "Hi, where are you from?" Don't you think that's a little uncalled for? You're like, dude, I'm at my job. Can I just do my job in peace? I mean, don't you think that's a little shitty? To kind of just ask all these personal questions to a stranger you don't even know? I mean, you're there with this analogy, to do surgery. Well, you'd be under to begin with, but, do you really want to, like, get really personal with your fucking surgeon? I don't know.
I don't want my outrage to match theirs. The best thing I can do is tell my stories to my kids and remind them that sticks and stones may break their bones, but names will never hurt them. They think I wrote it. I'm Tom Shalhoub for Prager University.
To
Well,
subscribe
when I was a
to
kid and I said that to people were like saying like, "Oh, sticks and stones." Oh, okay, and then shit happens. So it's not necessarily the best thing to follow. Let's see. What else can we watch? Yeah, this would be good.
A lot of the things that are wrong with the world we can't fix by ourselves. As much as we'd like to see peace brought to troubled areas, corrupt governments reformed, cancers cured, there's a limited amount that any of us as individuals can do about such things. However, there is one thing that nearly all of us can do that will immediately and exponentially increase goodness and happiness on earth. Parents and all other adults should reserve their highest praise of children for when their children do kind acts. That is not the case at present. As a rule, children receive their highest compliments for one of four things: their intellectual and academic achievements. My son Sean is brilliant. His teacher says he's the best student she's had in years. Their athletic abilities, their artistic attainments, and in the case of girls, their looks. Children who receive their parents' and other adults' compliments in these areas are delighted. Everyone.
So parents don't tell their sons that they're handsome? Weird. I guess this guy didn't have loving parents then.
Loves compliments. But what about the child who doesn't excel at academics, who isn't a gifted athlete or dancer, the girl who is not particularly pretty? About what will their parents praise them? The most flattering remark such a child is likely to hear their parents tell others will be something like, "But he or she is a really good kid," from which it can generally be inferred that being a good kid is not a big deal. That from the parent's perspective, the child is probably not very good at anything worth talking about. Some parents to whom I've made this proposal have told me it's unnecessary. They're certain that they have successfully communicated to their children that being a good person is what really matters most to them. By and large, these parents...
Well, if I had a kid, I probably kind of hope my kid would be a good person. I mean, do you really want to raise a bad person? I don't know. I mean, that would kind of make me look like a bad parent and my kid end up being a bad kid. But whatever. It is what it is.
Parents are deluding themselves. And there is
a way for parents to... low-key... Oh, I want to go back to this fucking example.
And in the case of girls, their looks. Children who receive their parents' and other adults' compliments in these areas are delighted. Everyone loves compliments. But what about the child who doesn't excel at academics, who isn't a gifted athlete or dancer, the girl who is not particularly pretty?
What about the boy?
About what will their parents praise them?
Yeah, parents. If you have a kid that's ugly and not smart, just call them idiots. Just be like, hey, Sally, you're a fucking idiot, bitch. Fucking ugly, you're worthless. The only good thing I could say is that you're a good person, bitch.
Most flattering remarks such a child is likely to hear their parents tell others will be something like, but he or she is a really good kid, from which it can generally be inferred that being a good kid is not a big deal. That from the parent's perspective, the child is probably not very good at anything worth talking about. Some parents to whom I've made this proposal have told me it's unnecessary. They're certain that they have successfully communicated to their children that being a good person is what really matters most to them.
His teeth are scaring me.
By and large, these parents are deluding themselves.
I don't know why.
And there is a way for parents to find out if this is so. For many years, Dennis Prager has suggested that parents ask their children, what do you think that I, your mother, or I, your father, most want you to be? Successful, smart, good, or happy? Many parents who have conducted this experiment have been quite surprised to learn that their children did not think that being good was what mattered most to their parents. Try it yourself.
Well, if you kind of condition them to, if you just compliment them on being smart and being successful and whatever, they're gonna assume smart is more important than being good because you're not rewarding them for being good.
Ask your child of any age that question. What do you think I most want you to be? I want to make it clear I am not suggesting that parents stop complimenting their children for their accomplishments in other areas. All children want to know that their parents have respect for their accomplishments, and girls, even more than boys, also need to feel that they are physically attractive. But
yeah, girls only need to know that. They don't want to know if they're successful. They only care about if they're attractive. This is not a gender stereotype at all. Okay.
And this is an important but. What I'm suggesting is this. The traits that we most often emphasize and praise are all important only if being a good person is placed at the top of the list. But then you might say, don't these traits have a value in and of themselves, independent of goodness? The answer is no, they don't. Germany did not start World War II and carry out the Holocaust because it lacked intelligence or cultured people, but because it lacked enough good people. Now, what do I mean when I speak about young people being good? Let me cite a few examples. Speaking out against and confronting a school bully, befriending a new kid at school who isn't popular, finding a wallet or cell phone and making every effort to locate the owner instead of keeping it, offering one's seat on a bus to an older person, treating one's siblings decently, not cheating on tests, and much more. Note, however, I didn't list among my examples going on a 10K walk for a good cause like cancer research. That is, of course, a very worthwhile thing for a young person to do. But it's not really what I'm talking about.
But wouldn't that be a good thing?
I'm talking about individual, one-to-one acts of goodness, of integrity. Why will parents reserving their highest praise for their child's goodness and integrity have so powerful an impact? Because children will then ultimately identify feeling good about themselves with being a good person. They will most like themselves when they act nobly. Or to put it another way, their self-esteem will come more from their goodness than from anything else. What a world that would be. And the best news about this proposal is that you can start doing it immediately. And I don't mean tomorrow.
I mean
now. I'm Joseph Telushkin.
That's not a terrible video. It just had like some slight silly stuff. But it's not terrible. Understanding men and women, why they see things differently. Oh boy. Oh boy, did I do this one? I don't know. I don't think so. This is a little too fancy intro. Look at this fancy intro they don't do anymore. They don't do this intro anymore. Oh, I wonder why. Course title, oh boy.
After years of
Course
studying
credit
men and
1.
women,
This is only 1 credit. This is a waste of time.
come to realize that a key to a happy relationship with the opposite
By the way,
sex-
I like this would be like a mock of a university, and these people like talk as if they're talking to like 2-year-olds. All right, everyone, we're gonna talk about understanding men and women. Why they see things differently. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So weird.
is to recognize that we have two natures. One I call human animal. The other
Oh,
human
I
spirit.
remember this video. This video is
Human
silly.
spirit is the elevated part of us.
It's
It
really
enables us
silly.
to be our best selves. Human animal is the more primitive part, the instinctive part that lashes out, often in response to a primal fear of scarcity or competition. When that happens, I call it an attack of human animal. It's a cavewoman or caveman attack.
Oh God.
And what happens is that there's literally an eclipse of human spirit. So human spirit is still there, but it's in the background, overshadowed by the animal reaction that is driven by a perception of a threat to one's survival.
So clearly, humans have evolved so much. We've become so civilized that we still devolve into cavemen and become animals. So that's just the way it is, guys. You know, if you have urges, hey, no, that's your animal self coming out. Just let it take control, go crazy. Don't try to have self-control. That's stupid. You're an animal. Act like it.
When men and women perceive a threat to their survival, they react by instinct. An instinct is defined as a primal biological urge impelling a response that brings relief of tension. Now, I bring that up because it's a good place to look. Whenever you're experiencing tension, there's a very good chance that you're reacting instinctively from your caveman or cavewoman and not from human spirit. Now, if
if you have arguments, if you get into conversations and shit, that's animals. Animals do that. Animals argue it all the time.
The best in ourselves and in each other, we have to understand
the reason why this falls apart to me so bad is that it takes stuff. It has a very childish understanding of instinct and self-defense that humans have, but humans don't just become animals in response to shit. Like when you have an earthquake, you're not gonna be like an animal. An animal would probably like freak the fuck out and be like, oh my god, whatever, and just do whatever. You're probably gonna be like, oh shit, I'm gonna just try to survive. It is what it is. If you are in a conversation with someone, you're just gonna have a fucking conversation. If it's an argument, it's an argument. I don't know. I just think it's silly to kind of make this comparison that we become animals when shit happens. I don't know.
Is an attack of human animal. And what does that is any time that we perceive that our survival is in jeopardy. So it could be a threat to our physical safety. It could
By the way, a little criticism here. I know my art might not be amazing, God tier, but her tits make no sense. So it's supposed to go like first it goes down like this, so you're thinking it's okay, she's just kind of like a flat body or whatever. Then it's like this, then it's like, oh shit, she needs boobs. Here. The boobs make no sense at all. But whatever. It is what it is.
Threat to property we're attached to. It could be a threat to our identity, to our sense of self.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you care about your house, if something happens to your house and you start to take care of it and shit, that's animal. That's the animal inside you, not when I had that flood in the basement, I became an animal about it, dude. I was like, oh, flood in basement, flood is bad, Instead of just be like, oh, I need to call a guy to find out why it's flooding, and then gotta do this, okay. No, that's not how it happened. It was, I became a caveman, dude. I was like, Ooga chugga, must empty water from basement.
Now, if we're going to bring out the best of each other, we have to understand that the masculine and feminine aspects of our natures experience survival and therefore safety and security.
This is, by the way, this is fucking obnoxious. This is a very obnoxious video. The animation is just fucking over the top. All these fucking transitions, crazy nonsense, crazy.
Ways. For the masculine, survival depends upon one's ability to produce results. So the masculine will feel safe and secure when they have the greatest opportunity to produce results. And that comes when they are respected and trusted by the people that they work with and the people that they care for. The feminine, on the other hand, experiences when they are produce results, and therefore safety and security in different ways. For the masculine, survival depends upon one's ability to produce results.
Oh yeah, that's how men work. We only care about producing results. We're goal-orientated. Women don't feel this at all, by the way. This is only men only. This is men only, okay? They go to work, they go to get a job, they get a car, they work, and they produce results. Men only, okay? No girls allowed. Sounds about right?
So the masculine will feel safe and secure when they have the greatest opportunity to produce results. And that
really? Maybe in the 1920s, but I mean, again, this is not how instincts work, and it's not how we work as a species. I mean, even technically, like, there are studies that shown that like a lot of women actually develop more ways of hunting. Like there was a event at a zoo in California years ago that happened where the female gorillas started to make spears. And as DSP would also say, DSP did a whole study on lions. He's a lion expert, dude. That's probably the only thing he knows. The female lions were the hunters. And the male lions just sat around and fucked everything. Fucked up, right? But humans, on the other hand, it's the men. The men are the providers. And men only feel this, okay? Women never, ever, ever feel this way. Ever. If a woman says that to you, they're lying. And you tell them in the face and say, you're a liar, you make me a sandwich. I'm sure you're not going to get slapped in the face or get dirty looks at all. Okay? Sorry, science.
Comes when they are respected and trusted
exactly.
by the people that they work with and the people that they care for.
Exactly, that's how it works.
The feminine, on the other hand, experiences safety and security when she feels connected, when she's getting the attention and the interest that...
Yeah, woman. You love the house. You love staying in the house at home and get present tools, toys, and all kinds of stuff. You know, that's where you belong. See how dumb this video is? Just off of that, she paints it as if men only feel success and safe by going to work, getting recognized, and getting recognition or respected by their coworkers, and then women, oh, they feel fine just at home being the housewoman or the housewife. But that's not necessarily the case. Either one of them can feel that way. That's kind of why this is an outdated look on the American family. That's why, you see a lot of things shift in the world. Because this isn't the case. See how dumb this video fucking is?
She needs from the people around her that give her a nearly constant sense of being connected and therefore safe and secure. Now, one of the problems is that men and women have instincts that literally antagonize the other's caveman or cavewoman. So, for example, the way that a man thinks, which we call single focus, will cause him to pay attention to one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So if he's watching...
Yeah, man. You can't multitask. Fuck you. You think you can multitask? Fuck you. You can only do one thing at a time. Like a fucking caveman. Okay? Fucking stupid people. Come on, man.
Television. The woman in his life
Look how fucking typical and generic this is. Oh, well, the man likes watching TV. the pesky housewife comes in and starts talking. Oh, okay.
And she'll get this incredible sense of tension in her body, and she'll try to do things to connect with him and connect with him and connect with him, which as a single focus person, he's going to experience as an interruption and be annoyed by it and cause a downward spiral. On the other hand, women have an instinct that causes them to want to be scrupulously annoyed by it and cause a downward spiral.
So you're telling me, hold up, if I'm watching something that I'm invested in, and someone just comes in the way and distracts me, I'm gonna be annoyed? Whoa, well I guess it's a man-only thing. Women don't feel that at all, obviously. But the thing is that men can kind of also multitask, but at the same time, you know, a man could probably, or a person, because I mean, I call me crazy, call me insane, call me a fucking SJW snowflake, PC nonsense crazy man, but I have a feeling that the man here could have easily told her, hey, I'm watching something, can we talk about this later? And then she might say, no, I need to talk about this now. And you're gonna see, hey, this might be important. I'm gonna turn off the TV and listen to her because clearly she might have something that she wants to talk about. Whoa. Man, imagine that. I guess I'm just an SJW dude. Sound good?
On the other hand, women have an instinct that causes them to want to be scrupulously accurate in their details. So if a man is telling a story and he says something happened on a Tuesday that she thinks happened on a Wednesday, she'll interrupt him and correct that story. If this is...
That's how everyone is, though. I have gotten into arguments with my own friends over that. Where they go, oh, no, it happened this way. Like, no, man, it happened the other way. It's like, oh. This isn't really gender-specific stuff. See, women feel this way, men feel that way. This is how they act. The man sits down on the couch, and once they watch TV, that's it. They're done. They'll just ignore whatever's going on in front of them. It's the male instincts take over. The women instincts tell them time to fucking overanalyze stuff. This stuff never happens with other genders. Only these two genders.
In front of other people, it's going to cause a problem. Because if it's someone whose respect and trust he needs, and she's now intimated that he lies or exaggerates, that's going to be a problem. Now, on the other hand, by understanding these ways...
fucking women, man, I tell you, doing this stuff, I tell you what, I mean, come on.
That we antagonize each other's instincts, we can behave in a way that instead brings out the best in each other. So, for example, for a man to overcome his natural respect for privacy and instead ask questions that show that he's interested in her. On the other hand, by understanding these ways that we antagonize each other's instincts, we can behave in a way that instead brings out the best in each other. So, for example, for a man to overcome his natural respect for privacy and instead ask questions that show that he's interested in her. He can even ask her what are her favorite questions to be asked.
Why don't you just talk? I mean, if you're watching TV and your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, because I don't believe these are gender-specific things, but okay. They come in and they start talking to you and you're watching TV and you're just like, oh my god, what is she talking about, whatever. And then you ask them, can we talk about this later? And she's like, fine, whatever. Or, you know, or the person gets annoyed and just walks off. That might just be a clue that something is bothering her. So then what you do is you turn off the TV, you go there, they say, I'm sorry I did not listen to you, and you talk about it, you see what happens. Whoa. You don't really need to trick people you don't have to trick each other to do this. This is the extra work that you don't really need to do. But okay.
And for a woman to recognize the tension she feels about the accuracy of details and realize that maybe this isn't so important, just let him tell the story. You don't have to correct him on that. And then he can maintain the respect and trust that he needs. By understanding
But what if he's completely incorrect and says something that's bad?
the differences in the way that men and women think, communicate.
It's not really about thinking or communicating. By the way, the fucking boob jiggle is fucking... It's fucking scary. The boobs are fucking scary on that woman. Like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, my breasts that I draw may not be amazing either, but I mean, I think they make a little bit more sense than these.
Information and solve problems. Men and women can learn to bring out the best in each other instead of causing an attack of human animal.
I don't think it's fucking an attack of human animal. I just think that people argue because people have individual will and shit. I don't know. I'm an idiot, dude. Come at. We'll do one more video. Why be happy?
Most people think of happiness as essentially a selfish issue. I want to be happy, and I want to be happy for me. I'd like to suggest that, in fact, happiness is far, far more than a selfish desire. In fact, it is a moral obligation. I know that most people have never thought of happiness in this way. Neither did I, to tell the truth, for much of my life. I thought that happiness, and especially the pursuit of happiness, was all about oneself. But it isn't. Whether or not you're happy, and most importantly, whether or not you act happy, is about altruism, not selfishness, because it is about how we affect others' lives. And that's what makes it a moral issue. Ask anybody who was raised by an unhappy parent whether or not happiness is a moral issue, and I assure you the answer will be yes. It is no fun being raised by an unhappy parent, or being married to an unhappy person, or being the parent of an unhappy child, or working with an unhappy coworker. Our happiness affects others profoundly.
But fake happiness could also affect others, because that just means that you're fake, and that might be worse.
That's why happiness is a moral obligation. We are morally obligated to at least act as happy as possible.
So just be fake. That's not really good either. There's more complications with that. But whatever.
Even if we don't feel happy. People can't be guided by feelings because it is how we act that affects others, not how we feel. A good analogy.
But how we feel is also how we act. How we feel gives us emotion. You can't have one without the other, but whatever.
To bad moods is bad breath. Why do we brush our teeth multiple times every day? It's not only because of hygiene, it's because we want to present good breath.
But why brush your teeth when you just put mints in your mouth or gum?
To anybody who we come into contact with. Well, the same thing holds true for our moods. A bad mood should be regarded exactly as we regard bad breath. Why are you inflicting it on me, or why am I inflicting it on you? It's.
But what if, like, you had a very bad day, your dog died, your car got into a car accident, you're getting sued over it now, you lost your job. How are you gonna be happy? It's like, oh man, I'm happy, dude. I mean, faking happiness isn't necessarily gonna be better, but whatever.
It's just not right. That's why one should endeavor as much as possible to act as happy as possible.
Shut up and be happy. Be happy all the fucking time. I don't know. I mean, this feels like a fluff video. I think that they were just kind of stressed for videos, and they just kind of they just put this video at the last minute. I don't think they meant this video.
Often as possible. And just about anyone can do this. No matter how unhappy you may feel at any given moment, you can and have to make a decision on how to act. We may not be free to control whether we feel sad or happy, but we are free to control whether or not we present a happy countenance to others.
I mean, it's more important to just at least not take out your frustrations and stuff like out on other people. But I mean, to fake happiness, I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
That doesn't mean we don't share how we feel
Maybe
with our
not dumb,
best friends, including hopefully our spouse. Of course we can, and without overdoing it, we should. You know, I'm really sad. I had this problem at work today. I have this problem with my marriage. I have this problem with my kid. I have this problem with my parents. But you don't inflict a bad mood on anybody. That's a different thing altogether. We all have the capacity to control how we express ourselves, no matter how we feel. I can prove it.
Is that the case?
Imagine someone who is just acting miserably to his or her spouse when somebody comes to the door. Have you ever noticed how nicely such a person will treat the stranger? How are they able in a split second to go from inflicting their awful mood on their spouse to acting beautifully toward the stranger who's at the door? Obviously, we can control our moods.
What?
Or how about this?
Wait.
Let's say
That's a pretty dark example. Oh, this guy beats up his wife and treats her like shit, but when a stranger comes in, he's all happy. So you can't control it, so... I mean, I know he did not intend for that, but I mean, the mind wanders. That's kind of scary. That's kind of a dark place to go.
say you are chronically in a bad mood and I offered you $10,000 a week not to be in a bad mood. Do you think this would affect your ability to be in a good mood? I suspect so. And to be honest,
See, dude, it's DSP. He's talking about DSP. DSP is the guinea pig, dude. I got it. I think Theo Theory on a PragerU video, crazy. I think maybe DSP is a long experiment being run by the professors of PragerU to make all these cases. Gets all these new whales. PragerU, dude, they're the whales, and they're giving him money, and they're saying, see, look, he's so depressed, fucking him over all the time, and then he's like, oh, see him money, give him money, he's happy, dude. Dude, it's almost, dude, DSP's a PragerU test subject, calling it.
we even have the power to affect how we feel, not only how we act. Abraham Lincoln.
But, you know, why do you think, though, the expression, money doesn't buy happiness comes from, though? Yeah, you give a lot of money and they might feel happy if the fucking mood is based off of monetary reasons. If I feel shitty because I'm not making money, if you give me 10,000 10 grand, do you think I'm gonna not be happy about that? Of course, because, you know, my issues with money. Whoa. But if I'm sad or miserable because of, like, people dying or whatever, do you think money's gonna change that? No. You can't just make this comparison of like, oh, see, if I give you money, you're gonna be happier, right? That's kind of dumb, because that kind of ignores the many issues people might have.
said that we are as happy as we decide to be. That is exactly what we should decide. Being happier is good for us, and it is what we owe everybody who is in our lives. Becoming happier is another great benefit of acting happy. The happier we act, the happier we will feel. We think that our actions are determined by our feelings, but we have the power to achieve the opposite.
But when you're doing that, though, you're repressing those emotions, and that might lead to more unhealthy things in your life. Again, when you fake being happy, it might lead to other issues. It's not gonna be a nice thing, but whatever. Okay, PragerU, yeah. Repress negative emotions, dude.
Shape our feelings
Be
by
fake happy.
our actions. How we act influences our feelings more than our feelings should ever.
But then how do you explain people who do good things but then feel depressed? Oh, I don't know. Whoops.
Ever be allowed to influence our behavior. So yes, indeed, we do have a moral obligation to be, or at least to act, happy.
I wouldn't say it's a
The
moral
happy
obligation.
make the world better,
TBH.
and the unhappy make it worse. Happiness is a huge
Well, you heard it here first. Trump must not be a happy person, TBH.
issue. Lincoln was right. We are as happy as we decide to be. And it's time to make that decision. I'm Dennis Prager.
Okay. I wonder if they just don't want to update their playlists, because I feel like that they should have had more life study videos. No, on the videos. Let's see. Hamilton, the man who invented America. Oh my god. Leftist books for... What the fuck is this?
What's up, guys? This is Will Witt with PragerU, and today we're doing story
my
time
friend,
with Will.
Witt.
We have this book. The team at PragerU picked it out for me. Peaceful Fights for Equal Rights. It is a children's book. We got it at Barnes & Noble. The back says, shake a hand, lend a hand, have hope, and be hope. It's meant for kids ages 4 to 8. Because you know, when you're 4 to 8 years old, that's what you should be doing, is protesting, not school or sports or anything. You should be protesting. Okay, let's get into this book. Assemble, take action, create allies. Resist. This is what little kids need to know about resisting. And look at these signs. Hashtag resist. There's the communist fist. Is that like the Labor Party communist fist? Boycott, boycott, boycott. Boycott grapes.
Boycott grapes.
Off to a rough start. Call someone. Campaign. Camp out. This is super weird already. Okay. Be fearless.
Okay, for once, Will, but you fucking got me. That is a very weird book. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, treat people with respect. Okay, okay, kids, let's protest. I kind of think that's a meme book. I don't know if it's genuine. Like, you know how Don Oliver did that one like mock kids book on that rabbit, whatever. I think that's a meme book. I don't think that's a genuine book. It's a suspicious book. It's very suspicious. I don't know if I should believe that video. I'm very skeptical. What's wrong with government-run healthcare? I don't really feel like talking about that. Justice warriors protest Kavanaugh. Whoa. What?
What's up, guys? This is Will Witt with PragerU. Today we're at the annual Slut Walk here in Los Angeles, so we're going to be talking to women about why they're here and what it means. Okay, why are you here today?
I am here today because I am trying to encourage people to stop slut shaming.
Okay, why are you guys here today?
I'm here to exercise my right to stand up for what I believe in. It's going to do what I want with my body and with my life.
Until y'all have to have a period every month and give life, then you can say something. Until then, you get nothing.
You don't need no man.
Hell to the no. I mean, have a couple on the back burner for fun, but you know.
Why are you here today?
I'm here to turn up.
What's your definition of slut?
My definition of slut is embracing my body.
I can't take it. He's just taking like a pool of people that is just like, oh yeah, look how dumb their opinions are. I mean, it's a silly video. I mean, the slut walk in and of itself is kind of a silly thing. I don't know. Let's see. So you think you're tolerant? Do you think you're tolerant? I think I am.
Tolerance. It's a word we hear a lot these days, so let's define it. Tolerance is the ability to live with people whose opinions and behavior you don't agree with. That's essentially how Oxford defines it, how Merriam-Webster defines it, and how we as a society have always defined it. You might be for the death penalty and your cousin might be against it. You might be against a $15 minimum wage and your coworker might be for it. Your dad might have voted for Trump, your mom might have voted for Clinton, and your brother may not have voted at all. Whatever differences we have, tolerating others' opinions is a prerequisite to
Now, the whole no voting thing is kind of silly. If you researched candidates, if you look at the candidates that was running in your town, and you're like, I don't like any of them, I don't like their platforms, so you don't vote, that's fine. But if you research an opponent, candidates, and you're like, I like this candidate, and you still don't vote, well, guess what? Cuck.
Functioning and free society. America itself was built on a foundation of tolerance. The Declaration of Independence guarantees us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But there's an implicit contract there. To have your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness, you have to be tolerant of somebody else's life, their liberty, and their pursuit of happiness. This contract, though, seems to be breaking down. If you listen to the mainstream media, only one side is living up to this deal, the left. The right, according to the media, is intolerant of everyone.
But the right makes the same claims of the left. And it's almost like media doesn't really go together? I don't know. Well, the left are the bullies, not the right. The right are innocent little boys. They don't do anything wrong. They never slander the Democrats, ever.
Except those darned white heterosexual Christian males. There's only one problem. It's just not true. Incredibly, the left isn't even tolerant of the very people they say they're tolerant of. If you're gay or black or an immigrant and you're not in lockstep with current leftist orthodoxy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you believe we should judge people on the content of their character and not the color of their skin, the left calls you racist. If you believe that America is a nation of immigrants, but that our country should also protect its borders, the left calls you a xenophobe.
But it depends on how far you go with it, though. Because, I mean, a lot of people on the right have many opinions on it, and some of it might be fair, but some of it might be a little ridiculous. Like the wall. I mean, I do think the wall is kind of ridiculous. I don't think we really need to build a wall. And I think that the issue is more with the immigration policy of America. I think if we work on ways to make it easier for it to be legal, to legalize citizens, and it just was, well, we make it easy, then criminals can come in. Well, criminals weren't going to get legalized anyway. But when we make it so hard for people to become legal citizens, it hurts people who either don't have time to become legal citizens or whatever. You know, there are people who want to be legal citizens and they just can't for whatever reason. I don't know, because I didn't have that issue. But you know, it's a very complex issue. But if we work on the policies, if you work on the process of immigration, maybe it'll be easier for them to come in, etc. Be easier for those who are seeking to live legally, and those who are illegal will be more chances be criminals than people who just want to live here in peace.
You believe that men and women are equal but fundamentally different, the left calls you sexist. Here's the thing, those
depends on the context of that. Because they're equal in certain ways, but they're also unequal when it comes to, like, when you talk about birth control and all that, because men don't really have to deal with that.
Only tolerate people they agree with or like aren't actually tolerant. So who is tolerant? Is it the organizers of the Women's March who had to apologize for the hurt and confusion they caused when they invited a man, leftist icon Bernie Sanders, to speak at their convention? Is it the Antifa thugs who caused UC Berkeley to spend $600,000?
Now see how he goes to these extremes in the left? But then when you bring up the extremes on the right, oh, you're being ridiculous. It goes both ways, and you can't really cherry pick one or the other and ignore the other.
$1,000 on security when mainstream conservative Ben Shapiro showed up to give a talk? Or is it Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters who scolded Kanye West for talking out of turn when he dared suggest that blacks should think for themselves?
Well, Kanye West is a cuck anyway. He's a fucking idiot. I feel like that the politics are just using me. Well, no fucking shit, Kanye. He goes with Trump. Oh, see, he's with Trump. Fuck him. Hey man, be individual. I'm for gun control. Oh, he's fucking liberal. He's for gun control. Alright, I'm back with Trump, boy. Oh man, he's Trump. Oh guys, I feel like I'm being used by the system. Whoa. Whoa, who would have thought that, Kanye? Hot take.
These aren't isolated examples. I'm guessing that you, person watching this right now, have silenced yourself because you don't want to suffer the wrath of the outrage mob.
I don't know. I feel like I outrage a lot of people. I used to do that a lot when I was on Twitter, when I started doing DSP videos, and I started being like making very political stuff, and I got into some heated arguments. But, you know, I wouldn't say that I had to silence myself. It was just that if I didn't want to argue, I would just not really mention it and just talk about it whenever, you know? And, you know, you guys know where I stand on it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, if you're a conservative, you're bad. You're a fucking idiot. But you know, if I see someone who's conservative and they see dumb shit, I'll call them out. If I see liberals say dumb shit, guess what? They'll get called out. I mean, it's just the argument of nonsense. Whatever.
So let me ask the question again. Who is tolerant? Well, here's the surprise. It's actually those scary right-wingers that the media and the university...
Oh, yeah. See, it goes to the right-wingers that the media likes to portray as evil. But then, when you watch right-wing television, like Fox, guess who they attack? The left. Whoa. I remember, like, there were, like, some news stuff going on where they were slamming Obama, which is fine. I mean, if you don't like Obama, you don't like Obama. But you can't pretend that the right is the tolerant people and they don't have their own biases that shove down our throats, because they do. The only people who are tolerant are people who are open to discussion and open to new ideas or conflicting ideas. Those who respond, and then if I talk to someone that's conservative and I don't agree with them, and I say, hey, I see where you're coming from, I don't really agree with you, but that's how I feel about it. That kind of stuff is more tolerant than, well, you are intolerant. And I always tell this to people when I get into these arguments that it just kind of goes well, and we don't come down to insulting each other. I tell them, like, look, you know, I didn't mind this conversation. I had fun. We didn't break down insults. We did not call each other names. It ended. It ran its course. The people who I find intolerant are those who just go quickly to the insults. Those that just go like that to insulting people's stance and integrity, personality, what have you, character. Those are the kind of people that are not really tolerant. But if you listen to other people's opinion and you hear them out and you don't insult them and you are less abrasive, you're pretty much tolerant. You don't have to be a right wing, left wing, banana wing Cleo to be tolerant. I mean, Cleo's the most tolerant animal on the planet. She's very tolerant. Cleo's a good bun. Leave her alone.
Cities demonize every day. I speak from personal experience. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment here, but I still consider myself a liberal. And it's my duty as a liberal to say what I think.
Yeah, you're a liberal, right? Yeah, you're a liberal as much as DSP is a philanthropist.
For what I believe and be hated, then bow down and be loved. The left, sadly, has become utterly intolerant of anyone with whom they disagree. Why? Because they believe that they know how you should live and how you should think.
And that's not what PragerU does? You're not telling us how we should live? You're not, you know, I'm a liberal and you're telling me that I go around and I'm intolerant. My beliefs are intolerant because I believe that people should be treated equally and this and that. I believe some of the stuff that some of the Democrats believe in. Oh, well, obviously.
Any deviation, any nonconformity is dangerous to that goal.
Remember when Obama was the Antichrist? I remember that.
Believe it or not, the right these days actually welcomes diversity of thought.
Really?
I can tell you that in the last few years of my political evolution, I've consistently found conservatives to be tolerant and open-minded.
But is it a real tolerance, though? Because in the same channel, they told us that, oh, well, keep your beliefs to yourself. Don't share them with people that you think are liberals. And he's a liberal, so they were obviously lying to him.
Don't take my word for it, though. Test it out for yourself. Go talk to some. They do exist, and they do things like watch movies, travel, and eat ethnic food.
Whoa! Republicans also live like people? Oh, man, I did not know that. Whoa. Well, this is stuff that the left never told me when I signed up. Soon he's gonna tell me that they put on their pants one leg at a time. Let's just slowly introduce these ideas.
You know, regular people things. You know what I found out? The right, much more than the left, believes in the notion of live and let live. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true definition of tolerance. I'm Dave Rubin of the...
If they believe in live and let live, then why are they so against immigrants, dude? I don't know. But, I feel like that the end part of this video is just kind of silly. I would revise a lot of stuff I had said in this video, so don't take what I said 100%, like, this is what I believe all the time. But the takeaway from all these videos is that I think PragerU kind of has an outdated look, or an extreme look on things, because I don't necessarily agree that the left is the only culprit in doing this, because the right has done the same things in many other ways. PragerU has also defined this as well. They villainize liberals, they villainize college campuses because they dare to teach gender studies and shit, but they don't welcome the ideas. They're not open-minded about it. They dismiss it as liberal propaganda. But if they're so open, because he claims in this video, well, the right is more open to ideas and they listen, then how come in the same fucking channel of PragerU, a unbiased channel, they also told us, oh, when you go to college, just, do the work, don't really believe this and that, avoid gender studies, avoid those kind of classes because those are liberal propaganda, but why not just take the courses, hear them out, and be open-minded about it? No, don't take them, that's liberal propaganda, dude. You see how one-sided this is? Like, that's my issue with this. It's kind of one-sided to me. And that's my issue with PragerU as a whole. The channel is one-sided in a lot of ways. Now, I know people who watch my videos do watch PragerU. If you still agree with them, if you like their channel, that's fine. That's on you. I'm not gonna say don't watch them or whatever. I don't think the PragerU videos reflect the viewers. I think it just reflects them. I'm really criticizing just PragerU as itself, not the people that watch it. But it's just these videos are just biased, misleading, and manipulative. There's some videos, I went over some of them, that I would say are fair, kinda. But they're also very manipulative in their own way. They all present these videos in a certain context. Like this, he brings up a kid's book that I kinda suspect is a meme book to begin with. But, whatever. If it's a genuine kid's book, yeah, it's insane, I guess. And then you have like this video where you talk about cultural appropriation. Now, I tried to watch this, and I thought initially, because I watched it the first time, and I thought when he went to college campuses, he portrayed as a Halloween costume. Hold on.
These things like the hats and the maracas, you sort of have to understand where all of this comes from for it to not be cultural appropriation. So
he goes to these college campuses. How's my outfit? Do you like my outfit? Is this cultural appropriation? And they all kind of give him that it's offensive. It's that he's not Mexican, he can't wear it, etc. It gives him these kind of responses, and I'm just sitting in the back of my head. Well, of course you're gonna feel this way. He's going to a college campus with a stereotypical outfit. Now, if you feel that it's not offensive or it is, that's up to you. Everyone has a different opinion on it. I would kind of say it's offensive just on the basis that it's a lazy portrayal of Mexicans. It's not really new, fresh, or anything. It's just, sombrero, drape thing, and a maraca dude, and a mustache. That's Mexican, dude. It's just lazy. It's DSP lazy. It's just not fresh, so that's why I find it kind of offensive. It's just that he's taking a culture, and he's just presenting it in the most laziest way imaginable.
It's not yours.
That laugh. So then it goes to a Mexican area.
Can I just ask you, do you like my costume?
Oh, it's a costume. Hold up. Actually, let's go to the beginning of this. This is important now. Hold up.
Hola amigos, this is Will Witt with PragerU. Today we're at UCLA talking to college students and on Olvera Street talking to Hispanics in honor of Halloween and to see if my outfit is offensive.
Outfit.
Dang it. Would you guys like to chat with us today? No?
Oh, you want to chat with us today? Oh.
That's what we want to talk to you about. Hola. You find my outfit offensive?
Outfit.
Just, yeah.
You find it offensive? Do you find it offensive?
Maybe a little.
Do you think my outfit is offensive?
Outfit.
Are you Mexican?
No.
Yes.
I think it reaffirms stereotypes that are...
So he's presenting this in the context of, do you think my outfit is offensive? Now, outfit, you can argue, leads to costume, but at the same time, outfit's a general term. It's vague. So, you know, these people kind of have the notion of, oh, he's wearing this as an outfit. I'm gonna respond to this as an outfit. And to his surprise, they find it offensive. Man, it's almost as if they took the costume seriously and they criticized it on a serious matter. Okay, PragerU.
offensive to people.
You think people really think Mexican people are like this and carry around marachas?
No, I don't think people actually think
People
that.
don't think that, but it's just it's a stereotype that was propagated by people, and you know, people might not believe that they dress like that, but they say this is Mexico, this is Mexicans, and that's the issue.
Do you find my outfit offensive?
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
Because
Someone else's culture that we've...
don't really understand cultural.
So he spent a minute in this video of saying, how do I look my outfit? How do I look my outfit? Oh, you think my outfit's cultural appropriation? You think my outfit's offensive? Do you think this is offensive? And then we go to Mexico, little Mexico or whatever. And
Can I just ask you, do you like my costume?
Costume? Oh, it's a costume here. How do you think he's gonna react if I come up dressed as in a costume and I told you, what do you think of my costume? What are you more inclined to say? I think you're gonna say it's a good costume.
I like your mustache.
Do you?
Monthly.
Does my outfit offend you?
You look no. You look nice.
Now he did say outfit there, but he let in with costume.
Do you like my costume?
Costume. Now, there's a debate with, oh, is it racist to dress up as this for, you know, as a costume? And that's a debate in and of itself. People might say it is, some people might say it isn't. So most people might say this is not offensive because they see it as a costume, they see it just as a, you know, a joke or whatever. But when he was at that campus, he didn't say it was a costume. He said it was an outfit. He kind of led the people in the college to see it in a particular way. Goes here, leads this into a particular way.
Yes. Does it offend you?
¿Es ofensivo?
No.
No, nothing. That's good.
Sí. Mi guapo?
This is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Acabo. Are you guys insulting me?
No, it's not.
Insulting me in Spanish? Do you like my outfit?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Does my outfit offend you?
No, not at all.
Some people get offended by what I'm wearing.
No, it's not. It's not offensive. I think it's you're in the right atmosphere.
Yeah. Lo único dice de mostacho.
And the other thing is to also note is that they probably see him as a dumb tourist. They probably think he's a dumb tourist. Whatever.
No original.
No original.
And also, he has this camera right now. In college campuses, they might see this as an actual study or whatever, and they might just be honest with him. Here, he's carrying on a camera, and it's a little more casual. I mean, whatever.
Do you know who sold me this?
No idea.
Mexicans.
Oh, really?
And so you're white and you get offended, but then Mexican
white?
people who sold me this and made me this don't get offended.
That, yes.
Seems kind of weird, doesn't it?
I love it, actually.
You think it's offensive?
No, not at all.
Well, Mexicans probably sold this to make money. Whatever.
Some people get really offended by this. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Just you're not Mexican, so people think that you have to be Mexican to wear that.
I'm celebrating Mexico.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you Mexican?
How are you celebrating Mexico? You're just... I'm celebrating them, dude. So it's okay. Not leading at all.
See?
I'm not wearing it.
See? Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should swap outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a very one-sided thing. I really... So that just illustrates that. I mean, you can say whatever you want, you can think whatever you want with this, that's fine, but it's just, I just think it's very misleading. It's a very misleading video. He leads in two different ways with two different areas, so it kind of leads him to think otherwise. So yeah, obviously I'm not a huge fan of PragerU. If you like PragerU, that's fine. I'm not gonna shut on you. There might be some good videos mixed in PragerU somewhere, but I mean, I'm just not a fan of their work. It's just I just feel it's a little misleading and not honest. Like they claim that they are. I don't know. It is what it is. So sorry if this video gets you mad. But if you are just not a fan of these kind of videos, that's fine. I'll do other videos. This isn't gonna be a PragerU channel, okay? But these are just my takes on this channel. Sure, some of my opinions might have been hyperbolic, maybe, but at the same time, I'm not presenting this as a professional video. But anyways, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. I think I'm gonna watch some Adam Sessler videos because I just kind of saw some stuff with that. But thanks for watching this video. I went too long. I went a little bit longer than I thought I would, so I apologize there. But it is what it is. The bad people made me do it, dude. Okay, sound good? All right. See you all in the next video.